What is up, all of you turkey-eating motherfuckers? Here is the Thorne, the great and powerful, and the fleshy, also powerful and fleshy.
Hey, yeah, he's something.
He's something. I heard a lot of people missed you last week, as much as they enjoyed my ranty episode. It was kind of like only seeing one tit. It just wasn't enough, you know?
Yeah, I meant to ask, did you like send people to my channel or something? Because the one night that I don't like get on here to stream, like I had not a lot of people, but considering my channel's small, like a weirdly high number of people come and leave comments and shit like that. Like,
Were they nice comments, or were they from people who claim to be witch hunters?
yeah, no, they were all nice, which is why it's like, what the did he send them? What the fuck is going on? Yeah. Happy to see you, and it seems like it was a good stream last week. I popped in there right at the very end, but I was like, yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a little political, and even if it's not, I want to give him the space to do it. So I'm just going to duck out for right now.
You know, it was a little bit, but it was mostly about the case that happened and, you know, that kind of stuff. So I don't think it was super. I mean, you might not have appreciated it, but I don't think you would have. I don't think you would have put a hammer in the back of your head. I think you would have just been like, "Oh, I wish I had other shit to do." But yeah, so we're here tonight. We'll probably be being a little bit more spiritual tonight. You know, I think, of course, it's still going to get a lot worse before it gets better in the world. But I think we're on the Thanksgiving night, and I think, you know, they're giving us a general reprieve from the hardcore bullshit. So,
And I'm thankful for Jay Sauber. Thank you, dude.
aw. And we got a super chat before we even came on. I don't know
Did
if
we?
yeah, there was a 1995 sitting up there when I showed up, and I don't know. There's probably a way to. I don't know how we can see. I certainly don't see it. So
Yeah,
I don't know who did it.
Let me tinker on in the background. I'll see if I can dig that up. The chat history doesn't show anything.
Yeah,
So,
no, it doesn't. That's the one annoying thing about super chats. It should always stay there. It shouldn't ever go away. I mean, you paid for it. I'd like to know if there was a question, and so that is a little shitty. But what's up, Jen Vatsa? What's up, Astardi Astroth? What's up, Mobius? What's up, Wyatt Coverdale? What's up, Erica Wedding? What's up, Jeffrey 524? What is up? What is up? What is up? Faustian's here. Sin is here. Oof, let me just scroll up here. CM Helnikainen is here. Helnikainen is here. Let's see. It looks like everybody. Looks like we got everybody who's chatting anyway. Anybody who's not, Gogo's here. What is up? What is up? So there we go. I don't expect a huge turnout tonight because I'm sure a lot of you guys are turkeying it up. So
it's turkey night, but you know, we've said this around this time last year too. The unfortunate aspect of this being such a solitary path is that not everybody has families and everything to spend time with, or the only person I'm close to that lives nearby really has to work tonight until like 10 p.m. So I got nothing to do because people can't stop gambling even for a day.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Star Ruby Corsi, what's up? Shift happens. Glad to see you, brother. Hopefully you're still feeling better. Obscura Mysticism Cults, what's up? Festival hails to you too. James Jones, hey guys, I had a spirit scare crap out of me. Yeah, they do that sometimes. Regina Green, what's up? Hello to you yourself. Yeah, so if you're here and you haven't already, unless you hate me, hit that like button. Let's get those likes up. Help out that algorithm a little bit. I'm going to be a bitch about it tonight. I just feel like it. I want to see those rookie numbers come up. Damn it. And if you're going to give me a dislike, it don't matter anymore, remember? Actually, you know what's really funny about that? Not to get political, but if Susan Wojcicki gets here, I want to have a word with her about getting rid of that dislike button for so many people. I still have one. I don't know about you guys, but I still see all the dislikes. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know if maybe it's just my cookie folder needs to get deleted. Maybe that's all I have to do, but yeah. So, yeah, my wife says, you still see it, but other people don't. So, I think what I'm saying, though, is I see it on other people's videos. I still see the button and the numbers. So
weird.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I see this one has one dislike right now.
Motherfucker.
What the fuck is it?
Who's that? Oh. Which one of you yo-yos is that? You know what? I'm cursing you with the empty paper towel curse. You shall now have a roll of paper
No.
towels with no, when you need it most,
No.
it will be like this. You're like, fuck, there's like piss and shit everywhere and I can't do anything about it. I curse you, whoever you are.
Well, at least it's not toilet paper.
Yeah,
I'll live
least.
I'll live with the paper towels.
at least. Yeah, dislikes, likes don't really fucking matter. You know why? Because all the interactions mean that people watch my stuff. And that's good. So, you know, according to the algorithm, unless it's like a total lightsaber, like it doesn't count against you on the algorithm. So any interaction's an interaction.
Who fucking knows? It's just nice to have an audience. It's just nice to know people care one way or the other.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know what? The worst crime of all, no matter what, I would. So I say this, but in the moment, it's definitely not true. I would rather people fucking hate what I had to say other than just it being completely forgettable, because it's a fucking crime to just be absolutely forgettable and just, wow, you changed the world in no way. At least if it was fucking awful, people can remember you for something and grow past that.
I think that was Crowley's basically, you know, his point of personal life there. I think that was kind of it. Hey, be anything
The
other
most
than boring,
wickedest
right?
of man.
Yeah.
With gratuitous butt stuff.
Oh, Susan's boss is here. Archon Authoritarian. That's fantastic. Someone mentioned Susan. If you're the Susan's boss, welcome and have a taco. Jeffrey says that's why they have 2 paper towel holders. Well, then I curse you to have 0 that are full if you are the one. That is what I do. Dan Best says, hello, Blackheart. What is up? Shift Happens says, are you going to talk about the Hollywood actors grieving over JoJo's? Shift, because Fleshy is here, we're kind of on a very minimal, you know what I mean? I'm not going to go too deep into that because it's pretty obvious that it's all, look, they pay those guys for their opinions and they write their tweets for them. So I'm really not, they're not really grieving. They probably don't even know what the fuck they're even talking about. They're just hitting the send button because they're too busy getting blowjobs from the most powerful and rich people in the world. Excuse me, from little children that they've hired for them. Allegedly, of course. I would never say such a thing and mean
so
it.
you're dancing around it. As somebody who doesn't know what the fuck is going on, give me like the spark notes.
I don't know if you want to know. It has to do with Rittenhouse and the sign behind me. I don't know if you want to know, man. Actually, you know what? Am I too far over? Let me see what this is.
I see
here.
come and take, and you know, a part of a pew pew launcher.
Yeah, well, it's basically the English version of Molen Labe or Molen Labe, depending upon how you like to pronounce your ancient language, which basically means "come take them." It's what Leonidas said to the invading armies when they said they were going to. So anyway, point is that is a Second Amendment flag through and through, often shown in Texas and places. But I didn't have a Gadsden anymore. My Gadsden just turned to shit over like the 20 years I've been flying it, so it's kind of gone. But you know, it is what it is. But no, it has to do with that. I mean, you know, I know you don't. I don't know if you consider the Rittenhouse thing politics. It became political, obviously. But when he was found innocent on all possible charges, which I celebrated along with a lot of other people did. Just like I'm celebrating that Aubrey's killers are also going to be doing hopefully life. I didn't check to see what their sentence was going to be, but hopefully they're fucked for basically lynching that guy. That wasn't right either. So no, I'm really glad that Rittenhouse was acquitted completely. It was the best possible case scenario. And unfortunately, you have a bunch of actors in the media who are very upset about it, saying that a white supremacist was let go and he murdered these innocent people who were not innocent at all, according to the courts. And not for nothing, the first guy he shot was not just a sex offender. He wasn't just a criminal. This is a guy who groomed children by finding single mothers with young boys who he could basically predate upon and anally rape them. In the prime of their young childish years. And when Rittenhouse acted in self-defense, he incidentally helped, we'll say, reduce the surplus population of kid fuckers in the world. And these assholes are eulogizing, especially him of all people, as some kind of an innocent person, which the court decided they weren't innocent. You can't call them innocent now. That means they were attacking him, more or less. He was found innocent of all charges, but completely. So that means he's going to be suing the shit out of everybody that said he was a white supremacist, this and that, which is completely unfounded. And anyone who called him a murderer, you're wrong. And that's simple. And so I was happy about that one. But yeah.
You know, this is one of those things where everybody started talking about it, and I realized I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So I tried to educate myself a little bit.
And you probably hit like nothing but landmines and rakes popping up in your face from all the different political perspectives.
It's one of those things where I don't fucking trust it. Like, I just realized I don't actually care that much. And, you know, don't take that the wrong way or anything, anybody out there. Just every time I tried looking at it, it was just nothing but very clearly, very obviously, like, partisan view. Like, there wasn't just an objective, here's what happened. We're not trying to skew you one way or the other. Just nothing but extremes. Like, okay, well, if I can only have an extreme viewpoint to educate myself on this one way or the other, I just am not going to. Fuck that.
You have to find, honestly, the best thing you can do, if you really care, which it's probably not that big a deal to you to care in the first place, but I can't say that they're unbiased, but I don't think anybody's unbiased about it. Rikita Law did a stream of the entire thing. It took 2 weeks. If you want to get the full details, or you can just look up the video from the event and make up your own mind what happened. So long as you find the actual in context event, what happened, then you can get a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I would, but I'm a little bit too busy trying to get Linux to run on my fucking device right now.
Yeah, I mean, you've got other fish to fry, and you know, if you're not in the game, then it don't matter. Honestly, it went the right way, just like the Ahmaud Arbery case went the right way. So everybody's screaming that everything's racist everywhere, that a white kid got set free when a black kid wouldn't have, and blah, 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 blah. Dude, it's all just designed to get everybody crazy, and it got everybody crazy for a little while, but it ended the right way, and I was very happy about it. And what sucked was that it was only, realistically, it was only made such a big deal because it has a political element to it, and they tried to politicize the hell out of it, and so the response to that was to politicize the hell out of it from the other side, which unfortunately that's what has to happen sometimes, because it's like if somebody like accuses you of something you didn't do, well, usually you can let that go if it doesn't get traction, but if suddenly it gets traction, you got to respond, and you got to respond to the bullshit. And the good news is most people saw through it. So
sorry ahead of time. I got a new keyboard, so let me know if that's ridiculously fucking loud.
No louder than mine at the moment. Maybe other people will hear it, but
okay.
Yeah. So, but going back to what shift happens, you know, he had said, "Are you gonna be talking about?" I said no, because personally, I don't think that. So, what's his name? The guy who played Bruce Banner in the Hulk. You know, the guy who played the Hulk. Pedro Pascal. We call him Pedro Pascal around my house, not Pedro Pascal. We call him Pedro Pascal. All these people were defending the people that Kyle had to defend himself against, eulogizing him as if they were somehow innocent people, especially the first guy, who is that 5-time child anal fucker, rapist, motherfucker. Like, you know, you know, how do we put this? Maybe it doesn't matter in the moment of the shooting, but it certainly wasn't a bad. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo, shift reminded me. I don't think that they are sincerely believing anything that they type. I think that they have talking points that they are fed by the people who handle them. Because quite frankly, I don't think they sit there and care about this shit. I think they're too busy flying to Epstein Island and getting their fucking you know, their $1 million dick sucked, and that's it. And they don't give a shit about anything because they're getting paid. You know, I think Seth Rogen was another one recently. It's just all, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. You know, so, and Greg Damon says child predators deserve the worst. I agree. I mean, we could have a conversation tonight about morality a little bit. I am not moralistic, but that doesn't mean that you get off for doing whatever you want to do. It just means that I don't think there's an objective morality, but I do think that there is a humanistic ethics system, right? Ethics always serve the one who's thinking about them. That's what they're designed to do. And human beings have our own system of ethics that say, hey, it's kind of wrong to rape kids or rape anybody for that matter. It's kind of wrong, right? Let's not do that. So I don't know. What? Twilight in the Underworld. Are you really Astarte? I don't know. Astarte, if you are here, blink twice to let us know you are captured. If that really sucks. Astarte of the Underworld says that this is Astarte. I got blocked from posting in this chat, maybe because I mentioned AR-15 and also blame the dislikes on Christians. Dude, what the fuck? If that's the case, can we get Susan Wojcicki in here to unlock that chat?
I see your previous comments up above from the other account, so I don't know what's going on there.
How do you know? What was it saying? You can't post?
Huh. That's fucking strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Ooh.
But we can definitely talk about some of this stuff. Like I said, with Fleshy here, Fleshy, I don't think has a problem with talking about some things. It's just when they get like hyper partisan and political, I think it bugs him up. Yes, so we're going to kind of avoid that.
I hate when people become too attached to the issue, and I do that myself. Just when it's,
I think that's why you don't like it.
Yeah.
I think that's why you don't like it, because there's too much of a risk of getting attached, and you're a young guy just trying to live his life and you don't want to deal with it. But, you know, I don't love that, but it's your life and I love you, so it's fine, you know, but it's how we deal.
I'm not attached to attachment. Except for when I am.
Except for when I am. I'm not attached to being not attached. You're attached to not being attached. You attached, motherfucker. Stop being so attached. Like being attached is a bad thing. I'm attached. We're attached. We're all attached.
It's the double think. Like you said just before we came on. It's like, you got to be informed, but beyond being informed, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
And
it's like, you know, we don't necessarily want to put our heads in the sand, but if we're gonna. Gar says Happy U.S. Turkey Day. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Hell yeah. I don't know if Fleshy knows what that means. We won't pollute his brain if he doesn't.
I see the questions, by the way. But first, I've got one. What did you guys do for Thanksgiving? Like, I'm kind of, so you know how everybody has the weird fucking thing that only their family does? I'm really curious what yours is, especially with your guys' diet and what people in the chat, like what weird fucking thing, like my family makes gyozas for Thanksgiving. And I feel like that's a little uncommon for a bunch of fucking guaylos.
Yeah, I'm just reading the chat here, so if I missed a cue to say something, I'm just catching up a little bit.
I just asked what you had for Thanksgiving, that's all.
Who, me? You know what's ironic? Not to get political again. The media just put out this thing saying that you shouldn't have chicken, or that you should consider, you shouldn't have turkey. You should consider like not having turkey so that you can save money on things, because inflation is wonderful, of course. Prior to even hearing any of that, my wife and I made the executive decision to have a chicken this year because it would fit in our rotisserie maker. So we're like, fuck it. Let's skip the turkey, because turkey is a pain in the ass. Let's just make a nice rotisserie chicken and have that as a turkey. And you know what's nice about it? I'm not tired right now.
Yeah.
and you know what else is nice about it? Yesterday, when we went to the store, there was about 50 turkeys still in there. Like, the price wasn't even that high, and I know they went up a little bit, but they're not even that high. And I'm just like, shit, man, you know what we're gonna do as soon as like turkey shit's over? Like next week, we're gonna have tons of fucking turkey all over the place for like discount. So we're gonna probably get a whole bunch of turkeys next week.
I feel like you made a good choice too, because turkey isn't actually that great for the amount. Like a whole ass turkey isn't as good for the effort it takes. Like,
no, it's really not.
If you want some fucking white meat, just go with a rotisserie chicken. That's way better.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer, if I'm gonna have it, you know, turkey. There's actually a couple ways that I like to do it, and one of them is I butterfly it over the gravy. I mean, over the stuffing. I butterfly it over the stuffing, so that means I got to split the fucker in half and debone it, basically. And if you've never deboned a turkey, that's fun. So I debone the turkey, spread it out over stuffing, and let that shit roast so that the drippings all go in the stuffing all night. And by the time you have it, it's basically like stuffing soup with like, you know, and it's a fucking amazing. But the problem is that is like an all day prep, but you save tons of cooking time, because if you know anything about cooking a damn turkey in a regular oven, it's like a 4 or 5 hour affair. When I do it, it's like an hour, because it's got no bone and it's all just laid out over the hot. It's fucking, and it tastes amazing because you do it. It saves all the juices. It's great. But then that's a pain in the ass to do anyway. And I can rotisserie a chicken and have almost the same effect, and it's really good. So fuck it. But no, I prefer, if I'm gonna have turkey, it's either that way, which is a pain in the ass, or turkey a la king, which is also a pain in the ass. And but turkey a la king, if you've never had it, it's like a creamy turkey dish. You can use white or dark meat or both, and you just mix it all up in this sauce, and with or without rice, with or without stuffing, whatever you want. But it's very thick. It's a very like, it's almost like
I'm imagining rice pudding, but with like chunks of meat in it.
No, but yes. You know, it's like, I someday when you come to visit, I'll have to make it for you. We'll have to make the chicken version because it's easier to get the chicken for it. But
okay,
it's pretty damn good.
But so you said that you were looking up at the comments. I have or questions. I have 2 written down here. One might be a little heavy, but what's
I don't mind heavy? You know me. I like to rant. Or maybe it's heavy. It's going to make me pissed, and I'll just be like, "Fuck you! Get off my street."
So we'll see. So the first one, I don't think it's going to be like that, but hey, we'll get there when we get there. First one is from Gogo. Asks, tell me what you think if a person has nightmares. Is that some connection with demons or something else?
Okay.
I think it's anxiety.
Yeah, let me enter my Alan Watts mind here for a minute, because I've been just chilling out with Alan Watts lately again. I miss that fucker. But the specifics of a dream are not as important as the theme, in my opinion. So let's say you have a dream about your grandparents' house when you were a little kid and you missed that house. You know, maybe your grandparents' house, the smell of the warm cookies, bacon, and all that shit. And you think about that house, and you're dreaming about that house, and you go into that house and you see your rocking horse that you rode around on as a little kid, and you go, why the fuck am I dreaming about that old rocking horse? What the hell? Maybe, am I supposed to look for a rocking horse and all that? What I would urge you to do is to zoom out. And what does your grandparents' house represent to you? What does that rocking horse represent to you? Not what is it, but to you, what does it make you feel like when you think about it? For me, dreaming about my grandparents' house would be the one place of stability and normalcy that I had growing up. It would also be a place of comfort and mystery, because there's so much, you know, grandparents have a lot of old stuff, right? So there's toys from the generations of kids that came before you, and my grandfather's basement, which was like ridiculously cool for a young boy growing up. I mean, he had big HO trains and big radio set. So when I think about my grandparents' house, I'm brought back to all that stuff. If I were to think about that rocking horse, it would be the one my dad made. He made it with real horsehair and shit. It's like a really cool thing. And so, you know, what does that dream mean for me? So when we're talking about a nightmare is often built upon some sort of, as you said, anxiety or sense of helplessness or some other similar negative emotion, and then your psyche builds around it the astral dream of what would terrify you and upset you, because you're actually probably pent up. You're probably got a pent up feeling, right? There's probably something you're not processing, which is why if I'm dreaming about my grandparents' house, I probably need to feel that security again for a little while. I need that sense of safety. If I'm dreaming about a nightmare, it's probably because I am not allowing my anxieties to be properly processed, or I'm experiencing too much of them and it's bleeding into my dream as a way to release the pressure. Because in my dream, I can scream and I can be chased by, even dying in it by a terrible monster in a dream is a way to release that tension. Now, could it be a demon doing it to you? if we're going to be really theistic about it and think of demons as external beings trying to get our attention that are always dark and evil and scary, then if that's how your subconscious works, if that's in your psyche for it to be associated that way, then follow that thread and see where it goes. Sometimes I would agree that it might be a demon. You know, it might be a demon trying to fuck with you. It could be. You know, one thing I would like to remind people, it's a mistake I've made over the last 2 years or so. And that is to treat demons like good guys. They're not bad guys, but to treat them like good guys, like there's some kind of sweet and wonderful, you know, angel.
They're not purely benevolent.
Yeah, they're not necessarily benevolent at all. They represent the dark side of the collective conscious. They are another way of I'm starting to realize or decide that the shadow people, what I call the shadow people, is maybe a more honest representation of what demons are. But they're all sort of from that shadow side of our psyche. They're all from that deep down base instinct shadow side of our consciousness. That doesn't mean that they're evil, it just means that they're things that maybe scare the collective consciousness. They might not scare you. The thing you have to remember is in my view, all spiritual beings that are not us, so you and me are and everybody listening, are what I consider localized entities, meaning you have a local egregore. Your egregore is attached to a living body, right? This is like an idol for an egregore. And someday when this body no longer works, that egregore is going to have to no longer be associated purely with this body, or else it's going to be forgotten. So there's multiple ways to do that. Of course, you can create a legacy and a memory that everyone will remember, and so your egregore remains alive in the collective conscious of living humanity, and so therefore your body becomes non-local and now exists in the multitude of people who remember you, and influences humanity that way. And interacts with humanity that way, and consciousness can peer through that as if it was a living being like it was when it was alive, because it is alive. Or it can ignore it and it just goes on its merry way doing what it does. So a demon or a shadow or any of these things are parts of you that are things that are denied, feared, cast out, forgotten. They're parts of you that for whatever reason, and when I say you, I mean not just you, but the collective. A spiritual being like Zeus, or a shadow like Legion, or any of those things, are things that exist in the collective conscious rather than specifically a local one. And it can exist in a local one for a time. You can channel or be possessed by these concepts, and you can exhibit them perfectly. And the better a medium you are, the less of yourself, that is your own egoistic illusion, filters in through that, and the more the collective version of that filters through you. That doesn't mean there isn't any spillover or any contamination. It just means that your personal identity has less influence on what is filtering through you as a medium. The better the medium is, the more clear the transmission, the more like a sheet of glass that is clear you are. Whereas the more egoistic you are, the harder it is to get around it, right? I shouldn't even say that. The more egoistic you are in the moment, because some people can be very egoistic, but then enter a trance and become non-egoistic at all. I'm sort of like that. I mean, D.H. Thorne is an ego, right? So of course, right now I'm very egoistic, but if I enter the right trance,
boom,
that other thing can pass through much more clearly. Looks like a Stardy Astaroth is back. I guess they fixed their ish. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm happy it's working for you.
So that means if we ever have to ban a Astarte, remember we're going to ban 2 people. Just kidding.
You saying the word? Okay, I'm on it.
So that thing that you're calling a demon, okay, Go, if you're asking, is it a demon trying to get my attention? Think of it in terms of a shadowy element of either your or the collective conscious. Your personal collective conscious. Your personal conscious or the collective conscious. And I'm going to be coming up with some new terms for some of this soon, because I think one of the issues that we go through is we have different meanings of some of these terms. If you say consciousness to a neuroscientist, they cannot, for whatever reason, distinguish what I mean by conscious from what they consider the mind and thoughts and intelligence and sentience and all these things. To them, consciousness is the whole enchilada, which is unfortunate because that is not the case. What's up, L the Alchemist? Let's read it for him.
Yeah, L says, had to swing in and say, I'm thankful for what you both do on this. I'll watch tomorrow. Hell yeah. I'm thankful for you too, dude. Love you, man.
Yeah, I told L, he wanted to know if he could be on, and I told him December.
Yeah, anytime.
So let's do a December video, probably maybe even next week if you guys want. So hit me up on Facebook or on Discord or wherever, L, and we'll talk about it. Or hit Fleshy up. I mean, either way is fine. Like he likes to handle my light work sometimes. So
sometimes I've been staying away from everything though. If I don't respond, go to DH because yeah.
So go. I can't give you much more advice than that. If it's a demon, if you feel like it could be a demon, then look for a demon. Go look for a demon that matches the circumstance of your dream, the feeling of that dream. What demon do you think it is? And if you get an answer, if you hear a little voice saying it's me, then go for it. What's the worst? You get the wrong demon and have to you know, watch your ass a little bit. You know, that's that's part of the process.
Hey, it's me. You got the blowhole.
You got the blowhole demon. So yeah. All right. So that's that question rolled up in my nuts in a shell. So is there another question that would befit the audience?
Yeah. So this one, well, there is an expansion upon that. I was monitoring chat. Did you see the one by Regina Green? It's a little addendum to the one that Gogo asked. She says, what about when you're lying in bed, half asleep, half awake, can't move, but eyes are a little open and I can sense a presence? What do you think about all that?
I mean, what I think about it doesn't matter. I know that if it was me, I'd act on it. I would go with it. I would speak to it. I would find out what it is. You know, I would lean into it as you would. I wouldn't be sitting there going, oh, it's not real. I would say I'm having the experience, and so therefore I need to deal with that experience. If I feel like there's a presence in the room, if I'm able to respond to it, I will. If I'm unable to respond, like I've got sleep paralysis, which I've never experienced in my life, I don't know what that's like. Which is ironic because I work with shadow people, and that's a very, very common thing that people report is sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And that's often a sign that they're feeding on you, by the way. It doesn't mean that they are, but it's often a sign of that. Because there's nothing more juicy for them than the fear and anguish of sleep paralysis, because usually that's a terrifying thing.
Yeah, I'm happy to have never experienced that. It seems fucking awful.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I get the feeling like there's something around me. Not lately, I will admit. I've been rather tuned out because of all the things going on that have me egoistically attached to the wrong things. But, you know, I've got to be honest. That's part of my pact with everything, is I've got to be sincere about my experiences. I can't act like I'm some kind of, you know, never fail God person that, you know, no, I go through periods of total mortal breakdown like everybody else. But I can tell you that there are many times that I feel presences around me and I have to lean into it. Sometimes I don't know who or what it is, and I just have to acknowledge that it's there and maybe accept that it's some kind of other presence and be like, whenever you feel like letting me know who or what you are, I'm here to listen. And if you don't have an identity and you're just a presence, that's fine, because I have to tell you, not every presence has an identity. Not in a way that you would understand. It doesn't necessarily have a name. It doesn't have to be a demon. Maybe it's literally just the remnant of the egregore of someone that has been forgotten, and now it's just getting your attention, but it has no way of telling you who it is. Could be, you know, could be.
Sorry, is responding in chat.
How dare you? How dare you?
So, next question is from Dan Best. I'm gonna change it a little bit from what they're asking, but what he wrote was, okay, here's my question. If anybody like to help me get rid of a non-consensual toucher
Ooh.
person, I recently found out that my neighbor is one, and I already started to give him pure hell magically. Open invitation.
Here's my thought on it. There are people, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but there are people who will try to get high power magicians to curse people for them by telling them about stuff which may or may not be true, to try to get them, like, for lack of a better word, magically lynched by the more popular and powerful people that they know, because they can't do it. I'm not saying that's you. So I have a very general policy. I don't curse unless I feel strongly about it. And I don't want to be made to feel strongly about it, if that makes sense. If it's not my business, it's not my business. I'm not saying people shouldn't. If people want to take them up on it and get some practice in, go for it. This is the left hand, you know, we're not being moral here. I'm not going to judge you if you do. If you just want to practice curses, go for it. But me personally, I don't like giving my energy out, especially lately. You know, here's the thing that I've discovered now, and I made a video about this on my BitChute. I don't know how many of you guys watched that video. If you haven't, I'm going to put a link to my BitChute actually in a moment, or unless Fleshy wants to do it. My
Sure.
most recent, if you can, on my most recent BitChute video, I think it was like Back to the Shadows. That video is basically me coming clean about being sick and tired a little bit of being this guy. Not just DH Thorne, but DH Thorne, the public figure. As public as it is. I'm not a huge, you know, I don't have the following EA has. I don't have the following like, you know, many other people have. I got a little bit more than 5,000 subs and maybe 500 active viewers at any given time, right? Maybe 40 a stream, 70 a stream, depends on the night. So I'm not that famous, but I'd fill up a small room, right? And after a while, there's a vampiring effect that happens whether you want it to or not. No matter how protected you are. You have to protect yourself more than just in the astral spiritual way. You have to do it in the mundane way too. And part of that is to develop a way of, number one, not taking the criticism too badly, or if it's constructive, to see it as constructive and not as hurtful. But there's, of course, a lot of haters and trolls. There's a guy who devoted like an hour, 2-hour long stream on his channel to dissing me about like dumb shit that he doesn't know he's talking about. And if I take that stuff too seriously, it's like a vampire effect. So I've got to like walk over it, right? Because unfortunately, this is the internet. And in real life, if we met face to face and you were trying to harm me that way, I could walk away and break the connection. Or if you're being violent or making it I could respond with what I need to respond with. But on the internet, everyone has anonymity and you can just talk to whatever shit you want. There's this one asshole that I block him and then a month later he'll make a new account and bug me again anyway, just to remind me he exists. And it's like, I really don't care, except you just keep bugging me. Like, you're just like an annoying mosquito. I don't care what you have to say, but you keep popping up to say it. And it's like, I don't care about you. I really don't.
You are nothing more than an annoyance in my life, but to you, I am worth enough effort for you to make all these different accounts, to make it your weekly ritual to come and try to get a reaction out of me.
Yeah. And I could say that, you know, I wish it felt better to troll them back. It really doesn't, because there's no, it's like, it's all foreplay and no action, you know, because nothing ever comes of it, you know. Mm-hmm. Good choice of words, I guess. And I'm sorry, Dan, I don't mean to say that you can't. I want to, he says, I'm sorry, I can definitely assure you. I'm just saying my default position is no, I won't get involved. Because it's happened to me before where people have tried to get me involved in curse wars. And I just, if people want to take you up on it, again, that's fine. Maybe it's completely like, if you got a kid toucher there, you know, part of me really wants to make a channel in Discord where people can present their cases and do some you know, black magic justice. That's perfectly fine. But I don't want to advertise it. I don't want to make it a thing, because it starts curse wars and shit. Weird shit happens. Like someone will come in and be like, oh, well, you know, EA Kawhi didn't curse me and blah, 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 blah. We should all curse him. And it turns into like this whole thing. Right. And I just, yeah, I appreciate that. It says, trust me, this person will be taken care of. I mean, that's good. And Pazuzu is actually a really good choice because Pazuzu would protect children, by the way. That's actually a really good fucking choice. Good job. That is an excellent choice. I like that choice. All right. So, but yeah, so if you guys want to join in on it, go for it. But I got to tell you, like, protecting my energy is a big deal because there's so much when you become a public, even a small time public figure, you make a lot of enemies just by showing up and being friendly with people. There's people who hate me for no other reason than I'm friendly with others. There's literally no other reason to hate me. I've never done anything to them, never said a word about them. Never took up arms against them locally or online or in any other way. They just hate me because I'm associated with somebody or have had a video done with somebody or said something nice about someone they don't like. One person in the entire community have I ever preemptively done anything against, and that's because I had tons of people come to me with evidence of why I shouldn't be friendly with them. So I removed them from a group I was an admin of. That's all. And that's all it took. And now, like, forever and a day, this person's saying they curse me every other time I have a fucking hangnail. So they're just insane. So, Me Too says if a person makes an hour-long video talking shit about you, that means you mad. Yes, you're not wrong. You're right. You're not wrong. That's exactly right. It still hurts on a level, though, because it's like, if people knew me, really, I mean, Fleshy knows me. I don't go out of my way to bother anybody. In fact, I don't take it personally, but at the same time, I guess maybe I'm a little bit on the spectrum, and that stuff bothers me in a way that's like, but that's not how I am, though. And it's like,
it's not the, it's the feeling of being misunderstood is the most aggravating part of everything. It's wanting to be heard and wanting to be clear. And, you know, it's like, I don't care if you hate me, but you need to represent me correctly.
Yeah. And I think, you know, James Jones says, I know DH gets shit for no reason. I think he meant to say it's jealousy because the D's right next to the S. I agree with some of that, but I also don't want to be completely incapable of looking in a mirror and seeing what I'm like. I know that I can I know sometimes when I listen to myself ranting and raving, especially when I'm like high energy nervousness and shit, people don't realize a lot of that overly talkativeness is me I still haven't learned to be quiet. I have a little ADHD. I like to say because I don't think very much. So when I start thinking, it all just comes shooting out, you know, or when I'm listening to somebody talk and I get an idea, I got to say it. So I can come off like a bit of an arrogant douche, right? I know that. And I have no excuse for it. I'm not even apologetic for it. I really don't care if that's your thing. But I also notice that the people who think that, like the most strongly, who get mad about it, genuinely have a very fragile sense of self-worth and ego of their own. Because I never do this in a way that is ever, what would you call it? Not just aggressive, but
it's like never in a way to put somebody else down.
Yeah, I don't think so. And if I'm not saying I never say cutting things, I do, but like you said, I'm not here to fuck with people. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm actually like, if people knew me, I'm you know, there was a time I was a real bastard. And I would have done things that just weren't okay. You know, I'm not saying I did them. I'm not saying I'm like a total psychopath. I'm just saying there was a time where like you annoyed me, I'd manipulate things to hurt you, or I would hurt you myself. And I'm not like, now I'm like a total pacifist. I just want to be left alone. I want to leave everybody alone. I want people to do better. I want to see a world where people are doing well. Even the people I don't really like, to be honest. I'm a little too right-hand path, I guess, for some people in that way. I don't believe in destroying people because it's too easy to destroy people, to be honest with you. It's actually harder to lift people up. I got to be brutally honest with you.
It really fucking is, man. It's like, what? There was that, I'm thinking of a like 80s movie right now where he takes a chainsaw and like chainsaws a table in half, and then It's like, why do we get so excited when we destroy things? It's so much harder to, carve a bear out of a log with this chainsaw, but we don't
Yeah.
celebrate that the same way.
That's the exact. I love that point, especially. Yeah, it's so much easier to destroy than it is to create. And yeah, you can use destruction in a creative way, I suppose. But so if I can't help, I'd rather just.
That's like a really great fucking rap battle, like destroying each other in the most creative way possible.
Someone should do a positive rap battle where you just talk nice things about the other one. Just that is so corny, but it would I'd love to see it just because it would be so postmodernly funny.
But I fucking challenge you to a battle of compliments.
Right? Yeah. Instead of a diss out contest. Yeah.
You're looking very good today. It seems as though you have lost some weight.
As much as I say I like to build people up, I would totally lose that because I'm not good at giving compliments. I'm good at showing. Like, people have often said, like, Thorne, you never have anything nice to say. Which is ironic because I feel constantly like I'm being nice to people. Maybe I'm a little narcissistic, I guess. I don't know. But like for me, it's like being around, like if you can tell if I like you because I want to bother you and I want you around and I want to talk to you and I want to throw, unless I get bored of you, it doesn't mean I don't like you. It just means like I've done it all now and I'm just like, all right, I get it. But you can tell when I like somebody and because I want them around. I want to invite them to my things. I want to include them in my activities. And I feel like that's a compliment because I'm very cold, I guess. I'm very stoic. I don't know what the word would be. I know people have said that one of the worst things about pissing me off is how I ignore you, Ooh,
the cold shoulder.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, no, it really is a fucking skill that is difficult to bring to the surface because, I'm speaking for myself here. Maybe you're the same ways. I'll notice things and like, oh, that's a really good jacket on that person. Or, oh, they've been really developing that skill. They're really coming together with it. Like, I admire that. I never fucking say that because I never think to actually like send it from here to here. It's like, oh, they would like I know I would love that little bit of encouragement. Just that little nugget would fucking carry me through the entire month. Like I could give somebody that little nugget, but I don't think about it.
It could also be a shadow on my part because I know that I don't respond well to compliments. Even when I'm fishing for them, I don't respond well to compliments. That's not to say that I get mad about them. But when someone says something nice about me, there's like a little like 2 or 3 breath thing that happens in my head where I have to take like 3 breaths and analyze it and really think it through. Like, how does that make me feel? We'll call it like imposter syndrome, right? I don't suffer from that. Totally. I don't suffer from that the same way other people do. Like I can get up here and do this show and I don't feel like I have imposter syndrome. But the moment someone says you're a guru, you're good at this, you're this and that, I just go, oh,
stay away.
No. Yeah, stay away. No, you got me wrong, dude. You got me wrong. And, maybe it's because when I grew up, like there was somebody put on, I think it was the memes channel, this video of like some bros sitting around playing like whatever the fuck it was, Battlefield or some shit. And the one dude's like, if I ever really needed you, would you be there for me? And they're like, oh, no, dude, I'd fucking push you off a cliff. No. I'm like, dude, that's like my life.
That was me that posted it. Yeah,
that was you. Okay.
It. Yeah, just like, would you be there for me? Oh, fuck no. I can't wait to go to your funeral knowing I could have changed that outcome.
And that's how I feel. Like, I'm not saying that, that's maybe that's that toxic masculinity speaking. I don't think I think it's endearing when people are like that. But
oh, no, it's fucking great.
To a point, obviously, if there's a serious problem, then yeah, you shut the fuck up and be nice. But
yeah, well, that's the difference. The people that are the closest to you like that, it's just, you can say the most fucking awful things and understand the undertone, everything of how it's actually meant. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of weird way of getting around none of us like hearing compliments. So we can say we're going to get the compliments in the back door by saying the most egregious fucking shit, but know that we're saying it with love just to push each other's buttons. Mm-hmm. It's like you're going to take the compliment without actually getting the compliment on the face.
I mean, you know what? Really, it's also like when someone compliments me, I feel like I want to compliment them back because I feel like in Japan, there's this concept called giri, and giri, I'm saying it wrong, I'm sure, but it's essentially like a debt, like a balancing of honor and doing for each other. And it's like, you know, you don't give somebody a gift that's beyond their means to repay, for example, because that's like showing off, right? But it also, because generally when you get a gift, you're supposed to return a gift. And a compliment is a kind of gift. And I'm not very good at giving compliments, and I'm really not good at receiving them. So when someone compliments me, my first impulse is to be like, well, you know, you got a nice nose too, you know, but I don't know what to say, because in the moment I'm not thinking that way, you know. It's weird. It's a very weird thing, because as much as I want the approval, I don't want the compliment that goes with it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I want your silent adoration.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Because
There's a lot of pressure with
I don't know how to people when we get to actually talking about it. Like, I want to be great. I just don't want to hear that I'm great.
And I feel like this is why I'm a whatever the hell, not an alpha, not a beta, not a, but I guess what is that, sigma? I don't know, gamma. I have no
all that fucking shit is just bullshit. That's
it
predicated
is,
on
it is, but it's useful bullshit, if that makes sense.
I mean, it's useful under the, like, it's a framework that you can use, but it's also a framework that's completely predicated off of false information that the guy who, like, fucking put it out there into the world is just like, no, wait, I was wrong.
I think it works situationally. I think that someone can be an alpha situationally and be a total beta or something else other times. So it's not that you're an alpha personality. It's just you're an alpha. You're in an alpha position or a beta position, and bullshit just, like that. But
you know what it is about it? I think just I think it's just been associated with me too much of, like, the people who just have the alpha, beta, fucking whatever viewpoints on the world, and, like, really, like, hold it true, like this is part of their personality, are always the worst fucking people. Oh my God.
And you know, the people who always hate it are always like the beta
is.
types. I don't understand it, but the betas always hate the alpha stuff. I don't know what it is. It's only the alpha assholes that like it. It's
I know somebody's looking at me right now calling me a soy boy or something.
No, well, I think you're an alpha soy boy. Just like I was an alpha nerd growing up. It's not really that different. Nah, dude, you know, but that's my point. It's just like, here's what it really means. It doesn't mean that toxic macho bullshit. Alpha just means that you generally take the lead on things, and people just generally follow you on them. And a sigma is someone who's like, don't fucking follow me, I'm going over there. And people follow them or don't, but they're independent about it. And a beta is like someone who's very supportive of people. It's not an inferior position at all on any spectrum. Alpha is not superior and beta is not inferior. It's just people get their sense of worth in a different way. Now there's toxic versions of it. Yes, a toxic alpha is someone who's like, follow me, motherfucker, or else. And a toxic beta is like, yes, master. But the reality is the genuine version, as I understand it, an alpha person is someone who takes responsibility for the direction, and a beta person is someone who takes responsibility for the outcome. And the beta person facilitates, whereas the alpha person directs. They are both equal and co-conspirators in an event. They are both equally important. Just like you can't have a tribe with nothing but chiefs, you can't have a tribe with nothing but, you know, regular people. You need to have people in different positions. And human beings do develop a kind of pecking order, whether you like to call it alpha, beta, sigma, gamma, banana, banana, don't really care. There are people that just gravitate towards positions of leadership. And there's a spectrum in that. And you can be an alpha in one situation and a beta in another. You know, I think that if we went to the right situation, I would be like, yes, my lord, tell me what to do. Like, how do we fix this wooden chair, flesh priest? I know a little woodworking, but you are the guru of wood. Show me. And I will facilitate your vision. Right? So it's
so
not.
We just gotta sand it, and then if it's arguing with you, you just snap it over your knee.
So yeah, and Will and Victus said something very important. Rising and sun signs have a lot to do with it. You know, are you are you an Aries? Are you, what are you? And Leos, Aries, they like to take over things. Aries tend to be more like, follow me or don't, but I'm going that way. And Leos are like, follow me because I am the brightest star in the pack, obviously. So there's a little bit built into that. I don't think it's something to build your life around. I think if somebody sits there and goes, I'm an alpha. Well, as a Sigma, I think you're an asshole for thinking that, because who the fuck wants to be in control of anything? I just want to have my own kingdom with my own queen, and I don't care if I even have subjects. I just want my own little castle in the woods by myself, and I'm happy. So there's so many things that like we put too much on it, but I don't think that we should throw it out completely. I don't think it's a valid psychological thing, but I don't think it's invalid. It's like astrology. Does it always work? No. Does it work a lot of the time? Yes. Does it inextricably seem to point to things in our lives that shouldn't be but are? Yeah, I think so. I do. Doesn't mean it's universal and works every time, just like numerology. I did some numerology the other day, and I came to the conclusion that my real life name and my performing name, they both come up to 3, and 3 fits me perfectly. I am a 3 in numerology without exception.
Yeah, you do like your triangles.
I do that too. I didn't even go that far. I just meant what it stands for. If you look up 3 in numerology, I mean, it's perfect me. So, is there something to it? When there is, there is. People have this misconception that astrology, numerology, these things shape your life. Really, it's more of correspondent to your life. The ancients recognized that there was correspondence, not causation. And correspondence means, so a scientist will say, well, the zodiac and all that stuff is bullshit because obviously it's wrong sometimes. Yes, you're right. But correspondence doesn't mean that it's a one-for-one cause and effect relationship. It's correlation without causation. They correlate a lot. The fact that they correlate a lot can be useful even if it's not specifically accurate. And this is a difficult thing for a materialist to wrap their mind around, which is why we're a little weird, and that we're able to, with our different sense of logic, still use it effectively and comfortably, even though it may not work in a mechanistic sense, right? So like, for whatever reason, it's a useful tool in our lives. That doesn't mean it works every time. And the people who rely on it too much make mistakes, and they crash and they burn. The people who don't use it at all, I feel like they're missing a dimension of possibility in their life. Is it bad? No. I've lived a lot of my life not giving a shit about those things. My life was just fine. If I didn't know my astrological information whatsoever, it wouldn't affect me at all because I'd still be living my life the same way. Right? Presumably. Because I don't shape my life on my astrology. You know what it does help me with? Since I know that my North Node is a Libra, that means that I need to embrace that and look at what a Libra is like and try to find ways to integrate that so that I can go with the flow, because I recognize, if anybody knows my chart, they'll be like, oh, he's an Aries, but his North Node is Libra, which means that's what he's morphing into. Maybe his next life will be a Libra, or that is his life's journey. That's where he's going. So then if I deny that, and I started as like the warrior Aries, and now I'm becoming the bookish, justice-minded Libra, right? That's where I'm going. So yes.
It's a good. No, you know what? I'm sorry. I was half paying attention. I'm trying
done.
to find something.
I was looking for a good off ramp. So if you got anything, go for it.
It's a good fucking framework. Like, all of these things are good frameworks to work with, but you should never hold them as absolute. Everything's wrong. Just like you said, everything's going to be wrong sometimes, except for me. I'm always right, except for when I'm not. So outside of that, you can't trust anything all the time.
Ooh, Gar nailed me. He got it perfectly. He says DH's quest for diplomacy. That's a Libra, right? That is absolutely. If you guys watch my fucking politics channel on Discord, as much as I am vehemently saying things, I am trying to maintain, if I know that someone is someone who I consider wrong with every fiber of my being, but they are genuinely a good person who wants the best and is not trying to shit me and not trying to ruin my life or rule over me or whatever, I try to be diplomatic in my disagreement, and I'm learning difficultly to be more diplomatic all the time. My Aries side wants to crush you. My Libra side wants to be diplomatic about it. You fucker! I feel bad for doing that now. So
why did you make me do this? Why?
why did you have to be so wrong all the time? And so I don't know if Dorian's talking about me or you, but they thought one of us was a Gemini, I think. I don't know if they're talking about us or someone else.
I'm a Gemini, except for when I'm not. So
fucking two-faced motherfucker. He said diplomatically with a drink.
So we have a comment here from Mr. Wyatt Coverdale.
Oh, that
says, I've had a realization that I'd like to share. Unless you already know some background pieces of knowledge, the symbolism of anything in magic will never be understood. For example, Montero by Lil Nas X, aka Sexy Mumble Rapper, had symbolism like you wouldn't believe, yet it blew right past everyone's heads.
Yeah, and you know, that's something I'm weak on, is symbolism, and I'll tell you why, because quite frankly, I don't care to read other people's bullshit. I like my own bullshit. I think it's just crazy enough. I do find some of it fascinating, though, because there's a lot of hidden shit that we don't see. You know, for example, the ancient mystery schools, I had no idea what they meant until recently, and it blew me away how much they correlated to other things that are important to me. When I realized that, say, Golden Dawn and Thelema and all these other systems are basically Western versions of tantric magic, and it's the same shit. They're all theurgic practices to recognize one's personal divinity as a mask for the totality of divinity. When all of these things are recognized and you go, wow, that's what all those symbols really point to. When you realize that the pentagram is actually a symbol of Hygeia, which was the goddess of not just cleanliness and purity, but a kind of health purity, a kind of pure living health, and that it's made up of three Pythagorean trinities, three Pythagorean, you know, triangles. It's quite amazing, you know, and there's so much stuff in there that I don't know, and I don't care to really look up because it can give me a headache, to be honest with you, because I don't, you know, part of the reason why it's so symbolic is because it had to be hidden. And I like things simple. I like things on the Zen or non-dual, you know, Hindu side. I like things simple. I like when you just tell me you're the universe, and I go, oh, okay, I can wrap my head around that, ironically enough. We don't have to hide it anymore. We don't need to come up with all these symbolic ways of saying it so that we never say it openly. We can just say it now. So what can I say? You know, I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying I don't, it's kind of like when people learn like all the stats and figures of a baseball player and other people just like the game, right? I don't care about all the stats and figures that much. I just don't.
This, maybe this speaks to just how my brain works, and this might not make sense, but to me, it's like when you're digesting a piece of media, some type of art, and some people, like a book or a movie or something, some people get so hung up on how symbolism affects plot, like what is the plot, this doesn't make sense, this is a plot hole, all that, when thematically it can make so much sense if you just shut up and just like, it's all very clear. But when you worry too much about all that symbolism, all of how does this plug into one another, it will frustrate you.
Symbolism is just another part of language. It's just another part of language, and it's just a language that I'm only vaguely interested in. You know, I'm not saying I don't know any of it. Obviously, I know a lot of it, but there's people who like would easily like spin circles around me, and I don't feel jealous about it. I don't feel inferior about it, because a lot of times people memorize the significances of these symbolism, but they don't put them together in a way that makes any kind of difference. It's like, okay, you've memorized all of these symbols and where they come from, and you know, kind of like if like Golden Dawn stuff, like when you're reading the different or these different, you know, rituals they do, and it's like, okay, that means that means that means, why can't you just say that then? You know, why can't you just say that? And if you don't have the meaning of those symbols instilled in you, we'll take, for example, the lesser banishing ritual, for example, and some of the things that you do in that ritual, or the you know, the things that are there. If you are not educated on what they mean, your subconscious may or may not even be able to figure out what they're trying to do anyway, if you don't come from a position. So why bother, right? That's part of the issue for me. Now, here's the thing that you could say would be said by Carl Jung, and that would be that the symbolism is in the collective conscious, so therefore it's still valid. So in other words, what I think is really, I think I'm putting that, I think he's putting it the wrong way, or maybe I am, but the source of the symbolism is in the collective consciousness, and the symbolism is the projection that accompanies it. The source of the symbol is enigmatic, ineffable, not, you can't explain it, you can't describe it, you can't know it except through these symbolic references. That is true. And so that means it's always in the collective conscious, which means that if we were to delete our culture completely, like let's say we had an apocalypse and our culture was completely eradicated, people went back to the Stone Age, but then let's say people were allowed to continue. Well, given a long enough timeline, we would eventually see, maybe not the exact same, you know, we wouldn't have Darth Vader, but the character that Darth Vader was the symbol of would be represented by some new incarnation. And these are the archetypes, these are the concepts, and those archetypes don't themselves have a description. That is to say, just like the sound of a clap isn't the clap, just like the feel of a clap isn't the clap, just like the look of a clap isn't the clap. The clap is represented by those things, but the clap itself is unknowable. You can only know the detections of the clap, not the clap itself. In the same way, what Darth Vader represents, you can never know what it represents, just the representation is what you can know. So indirectly, you can understand, not directly. And that's why I kind of don't care about all of this nuanced symbolism, because if you understand that they're all masks for the same archetypes and meanings, you don't need all of that. They're just different ways of saying the fundamentals. And the fundamentals, just like in martial arts, is the most important part.
I think you don't care about everybody else's collective idea of symbolism, because I know you personally care a lot about your own symbolism, and I don't say that as a backhand. Like we had that stream on my channel going into all the subtleties that went into the Trinity of Self. It's like, holy fucking shit, I had no idea. I thought it was just a cool looking triangle and everything. Like,
and that's getting a revamp eventually, an updated version that will come out sooner or later, but yeah.
But I think that's also really important, is so many people, there's a lot of people who will put so much importance on what everybody else's idea of the symbol means and fucking ignore their own.
Yeah.
It's like picking up not dream diary, one of those dream interpretation books of, oh, if you had a dream about a fair young maiden, it means this or that.
Right.
Like, well, that's
like
not
I started
what
off the stream talking about
me.
grandma's house, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, exactly that.
Everybody has a different, like, maybe you got abused at grandma's house, so grandma's house doesn't mean comfort anymore. You know, so it's, yeah, I agree. And so this is why I'm more interested in the fundamentals of what is behind the visible, because the visible world, so I've done this demonstration before, this description before. There is the real world, but that world is nothing that we as human beings can conceptualize. It is complete and utter void, but it inspires the material and astral. And that inspiration is just a way of looking at those two things, because it's really the same thing. So the demonstration would be, you know, write astral on the back of your right hand and write material on the palm and put it like this right in front of your face. And if you look to the left, you see the astral. And if you look to the right, you see the material. But you're still looking at the same source. And it's really just a projection of that. The material world that you see and feel and touch is never the actual world. It's the sensation of it. You know, like I was saying to somebody recently, they're like, well, what are photons, right? That's a common question in science. What is a photon? And a scientist will say, well, a photon is it is light. It is a particle wave duality of light. Well, here's the problem. A photon is none of those things. A photon is a detection. That's what a photon is. A photon isn't a photon. It's a detection of light. It's a way of, when you measure light, it is a way of measuring the existence and presence of light. It is not actually light. Just like is not a clap. That's the sound of a clap. The actual thing is unknowable. You can only know its projection, its detection. But that's not true. You can actually know the thing, but you can't know it in the way that we know things. You can't know it in the analytical, we'll say, documentary way. You can only know it in the fullness way. So the meaning of the word gnosis, for example, my interpretation of the meaning of the word gnosis is to know its true nature beyond the sight, sound, smell, touch, thought, astral of it. People say, well, I have this gnosis of this. You know, my gnosis of something. I mean, that's a fair way of using the word, but really, gnosis is something that is indescribable. So,
almost
yes,
sounds like you're describing it like true naming something.
Yes, to a degree. So true naming is, if we take the verbal component out of it, people, I think, confuse the concept of true naming with the verbal, the spoken. The spoken is just the projection of what the true name is. And the true name is again, it is not the thing. It is the most quintessential symbol for the thing. So that candle, the flame flickering at the end of that candle, that is not the fire. That is the quintessential symbol of the fire. But in itself, that is not fire. It's the quintessential symbol. It is the true name of fire. But the fire itself looks nothing like that, feels nothing like that, is nothing like that. The true elementary source, the true essence of fire. And the truth is, there's no separation between you and that fire. I'm obviously a non-dualist, so I recognize that whatever that is me. Sometimes I'm caught up in my ego fully, and I go, well, that fire's over there, and I'm over here. But when I'm in the right state, I don't feel a strong separation between me and that fire at all. I just see that fire is the other side of me. The side that I am not personally aware of right now.
Don't mind me, my laptop was doing weird shit.
Hey, I see Hunter Salazar here. I haven't seen him in a while. Hunter Salazar, what is up?
Ain't that one of your chooms? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, he's got another podcast or something out there. I think he's got a mohawk like I do, though. So I think we sometimes get confused for each other. I know he reviewed my Shadownomicon. He's like, I know he said I was opinionated, but I think he liked the book. So that's a good first step, my brother. I'm glad you liked the book. Then we can agree on it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Welcome,
bringing them around.
What the hell? We're a little bit irreverent around here. So we love our friends, but we also talk shit about them at the same time.
Are we irreverent? I hadn't noticed.
I think we are. We're the types that would do armpit noises in a church, to be brutally honest. But yeah, so
Yeah.
Raul is spitting some knowledge and try to put that all in one sentence, Raul.
Hey, they'd limit you to like 160 characters.
That's true.
Something like that.
That's true. Yeah, he said Advaita 1, Zen 0, and then a bunch of stuff and
he's got the thoughts fucking flowing right now, though.
He's got the thoughts. Here's the problem, though. Advaita isn't one. It's actually non-dual. You cannot. So when someone says non-duality means all is one, that's actually like right in all the wrong ways. Like that's not right, but it is. But it's wrong, but it's right. So if there is only one, then the concept of the number one is completely broken. In order for there to be one, there must be the conceptualization of many or nothing. But if there is only one, then there is no many and there is no nothing. There is only the one, which means the concept of 2 or 0 goes away as anything objective. They're just perceptual concepts, but they're not real. So this is why we call it non-dual rather than monism, right? Rather than calling it the monist perspective, we call it the non-dual perspective. So I am a non-dualist specifically if I have to be splitting hairs.
I feel like I'm not taking my own advice, because anytime that numbers come up, I focus too much on the fucking numbers and not what you're trying to say with them.
I hate numbers.
Yeah, but that's not what 2 is, though. Like, I'm not.
So what is 2? What is 2?
2 is like what comes after the 1 and the 0, but the 1 can still exist, because so if we go to irrational numbers, then
2 can't exist without 2 ones. Without 2 ones, you can't have 2. If there's only 1 1, then you can't have 2.
Fucking, I think, did you hear that? I think that was just me glazing over again. Moment numbers came out.
This is easy. This isn't even math. This is just is.
I'm good at math, though. If you put it in math terms, it's just like, well, that's not what those numbers mean. I'm not trying to be backhanded with any of it. I was just making what the fuck? Is that a face on your books?
What's that?
Is that a fucking face on your book? Anybody else seeing that shit? Hold on.
A face on my books?
Yeah, that is so weird on my monitor right now. It totally looks like just an old dude's face on the books behind you. Yeah, like I can see a fucking nose, and what the fuck is it? I totally see it there. Am I just tripping? Anybody else see a face on his books?
You mean this dude?
On. Maybe, actually. It went away. Sorry, I had you minimized while I was fucking... Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Never mind.
Yeah, I should turn him into an egregore or something. I want to have like a little elfie thing in my house.
Yeah, with the lighting here, like the top of the mushroom cap totally looks like the brow, and then the stem is just like a nose. That is fucking trip.
Lucas said it well. He said there cannot exist one without a separate individual one to compare itself to. Therefore, one is no different than nothing at all. It is a possibility. That's exactly right. So so you know, when I first arrived at that understanding was when I was, as a young kid, I was conceptualizing the concept of God. And this was back when I was a Christian. I was trying to come up with an argument for why there must be a God, a logical argument for why there must be a God. And so to do so, I examined the idea of what if there is no God? Well, if there is no God, that means there's no God above me. That means that there is nothing that is more godlike than me. So therefore, I must be God, and so therefore there's a God. So there has to be a God of some kind. But then I realized, well, if that's true, if there is a God, and if God is everything, which is what I was believing at the time, or God is in everything and God is everything, then that means that there is nothing that is not God. So let's say there is no God and I am God. That means there is nothing that is not God, because everything is its own God then. So that means if everything's God, then the concept of God goes away, because God as a concept is the ultimate. But if everything is the ultimate, then what is it the ultimate over? Nothing. There's nothing that is below it, because everything is it. So that means the concept of God becomes pointless. And that was like my first non-dual thought when I was younger. It was probably the first one I had without knowing it was a non-dual thought. Because essentially what I was saying was what non-dualism is saying about Brahman, about Atman Brahman as one. It's the concept that all is not just one. It's that when we say all is one, what we should say is all is unified, all is union, all is as above, so below. You know, the Baphomet. The Baphomet's another non-dual figure in that sense. So that was kind of my first non-dual thought. And that's where I've hung my hat over all these decades and centuries that I'm alive. Feels like centuries this year, I gotta say.
It's been a lot going on, man.
Yeah, Lucas, you know what? I don't love the word source, although I do use it. because it's just parlance, but I don't personally like it. And it's because it implies that it implies a creation. It implies a projection. It implies something that, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying I don't prefer it. I prefer chaos. I prefer the word chaos or Brahman, which I identify as basically the same. One reason I don't like source is because people think that they can separate from source. And the irony is that is like separating from yourself. You know, when someone says, well, my plan is to completely separate from source and become my own source. And I just kind of think about that and I go, that would be like having a dream and deciding that you were going to have your own dream, as if you and the dream were separate in the first place. And it just doesn't compute for me. And so people say, well, then you're not left-hand path. And I go, well, then you don't understand actually what Vamchara really is, what its origin was. It literally doesn't mean that you separate from source. It means that you just find an alternate route to source than the right-hand version of practice. The right-hand version of practice is generally very moralistic, very this and that, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just another way, whereas the left hand is the unorthodox version. You do the opposite in some respects. You don't necessarily, you don't become attached to the idea of morality. You recognize that if the divine is in all things, that means even the worst things imaginable are divine. And you integrate the fear of those things because as if they are, you got to stop pretending they're separate from divinity when they are always divinity. So.
Become your own source sounds like an Eli video.
Eli? Who's this Eli we talking about?
Oh, don't worry about it.
Do I have to know?
No. No, I shouldn't have even said anything.
Is this an Eli that I don't like? I don't know if I want to know.
Hey, what's up, Cameron? Happy to see you, dude.
Man, you're seeing chats I don't see. Unless they said it a while ago.
It was just a little bit up there. I was busy making a fucking meme. I busted out a quick meme because I just you need to see that face is there. I don't care if it's a mushroom.
So I declare chaos and Brahman to be the same. Chaos in its original meaning literally means gap, void, abyss. So chaos doesn't mean the opposite of order, actually. Chaos is actually, in a sense, it is that which has not yet been identified. So order can be there, it just hasn't been recognized yet. It is the gap, it is the emptiness. It is the emptiness in which order and order and disorder both exist. So chaos contains order, and really disorder is just another kind of order. Let's be frank. The concept of disorder is a very specific kind of order. In fact, it can only really, be represented one way. Because if there is perfect disorder, it would have to be infinite in scope. So within that infinite disorder, there would be infinite order to be found, because you could just snippet out a piece of it and say, see how orderly that is? They kind of go together in that sense. They're not mirrors of each other like people think they are. They contain each other fully.
Am I understanding what you're saying correctly? Is like saying the Library of Babel is a certain kind of order, because even though it's nothing but chaos with, random spaces and text, you can find whatever you need to in there somewhere.
Somewhere in the multitudiny of those pages, anything that is writable is there. Somewhere in that Library of Babel is Become the Maelstrom. Somewhere in there. It has to be. So too is the book I'm going to write next. So too is a book that explains everything. Just like in the number pi is the code for the universe somewhere. So that doesn't mean, though, that it's all containing. It simply means that, like I said, that which can be written is in there.
You need to outsource and just go to the Library of Babel for your next book.
I tried, but I mostly got gobbledygook pages. But there are, if you go to that, I love that website because if you go there, there are people who post what they find, and sometimes they find some fucked up shit. There was this one, I forget, I posted it. It had to do with fucking Harry Potter, I think. And it was like, how the fuck? Wow, that's impressive that they found a Harry Potter page. Like, it was talking about Harry Potter shit, and it was pretty accurate. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty, yeah. If I put it somewhere in, if I find it again, I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious. And then Harry was an utter douche. Wow, it's just like Rowling wrote this. It's just like the book.
So Hunter asks, ideas on Shiva or Kali Ma? Not much, really, because I am not a Hindu, although I am very non-dual. I am not into that pantheon very much, just because it's just not really what I'm interested in. But I would say that at the very least with Shiva, I can't speak objectively here because I don't view these archetypal beings as objective in that way. But we'll say Lucifer and Shiva have a lot more in common than people realize, for example. The Lucifer I know. Not the Lucifer of the Christians, but the Lucifer I know as a generally Luciferian type person. Because if we understand Lucifer's origin to have a lot to do with Enki, which is Poseidon and Neptune, if we understand that Lucifer has a lot to do with that, then we can also understand that Shiva and Poseidon, Neptune have a lot, and Enki have a lot in common as well. There is evidence that there is cross-cultural contamination between them, so to speak, that probably the Greeks borrowed some ideas from the Indian culture, probably more likely than the other way around. And their idea of Poseidon is a very distant offshoot. There's some symbolism that's related. I'm not saying they're the same. I don't think they would say they're the same, but I think that there's definitely some related symbolism. But all of that being said, I think that they're all masks for the same essential liberation entity that is wearing different masks. So to a Luciferian, there's a lot of overlap with Shiva, for example, as there would be with Enki and Inanna as well, to a certain degree as well. So Lucifer is kind of like, just like how Judaism has the one God, any offshoot of that faith has like, yes, Raul put Shiva, Lucifer, Jesus. Yes, there's undeniable similarities between the three, in my opinion. Yeah, Lucas says different facets of a grander archetype. That's how I see it. Now, people who are theistic will say, no, Thorne, Shiva is a god and they're not related. Lucifer's an asshole demon. But hey, you know what? If that's what makes your shit float, then by all means, I'm not trying to tell you otherwise.
I've never heard that expression before, and I don't know if I like it.
Well,
It clearly doesn't make my shit float.
And Rule's right. There's also Apollo and Prometheus shoved in there as well. I mean, Lucifer is kind of a catch-all for several different ancient archetypes, but a lot of people on the deep end of the occult circuit, a lot of them have syncretization between Lucifer and Enki. I'm not saying they're exactly the same. I'm just saying it's like they're masks for the same thing, is what I'm saying. So instead of saying Lucifer is Enki, I prefer to say that Enki, Lucifer, Shiva, Jesus, all of these are masks for that same cosmic rebel concept. Some people get all bent out of shape when you conflate Lucifer and Jesus, and that's fine. They're more theistic than I am.
You're worrying about it too much.
Yeah. Because all I'm going to say is when I was a young boy and I was heavy Christian, I would speak to this being that I thought was Jesus. And later in life, when I looked in the mirror and was definitely speaking to what I identified as Lucifer, and I said, "Who are you?" And it said, "You've spoken to me many times. You just called me something else." More or less. I'm sort of paraphrasing.
So you're still a Jesus head. You just changed what clothes Jesus wears.
I guess so. I guess. The Jesus I spoke to wasn't a judgmental prick like the one in church. You know? That's a joke, guys. I know there's Christians that aren't like that. I'm just being a jerk. You know, honestly, I play up a disdain for Christianity that I don't personally feel. I have a disdain for Christians more than I do the general loosely interpreted thing. Like if you give me like a good Unitarian that's just this big open-minded person who believes in the Christian God and Jesus and all that and sees it as this new agey beautiful thing, I got no beef with that person, like whatsoever. Like,
yeah,
you know, interpret that shit how you need to make it work.
Hey, to be fair, I feel like it's a little bit of punching up in a lot of ways.
A little
and
bit.
Also the good ones, I feel like the good ones get the jokes.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't like those people either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, there's so much my Sky Daddy will beat up your Sky Daddy going on, and I don't like that game really at all. In fact, one of the reasons that I get turned off by my own work is because my audience wants me to do demon in reviews, and I'm sick of theistic thinking, if that makes sense. And I'm sick of giving them more than, we'll say, what they deserve. I believe that whatever these beings are, they are the living egregores either of dead people that were deified in their cultures and eventually became these gods and demons that we know, or they were created beings, you know, like Lovecraft's entities that are masks for archetypal, you know, concepts. And, you know, if that is, if you want to treat them theistically, I think that leads down a path that I don't like, personally. People who get theistic are the ones who go to war over shit like that.
I do think it's fun. It's fun and it can be very useful to be a little theistic about it for a while and then just know when you can pop up and say, okay, no, it's not actually like that, but I had my fun for a time.
Mm.
As long as you're not fucking with other people with it. As long as it's self-contained.
Well, I mean, the way I look at theism is a little different from treating those beings with reverence and accepting them as living beings. Theism is another level above that. So you know, people misunderstand me when I say I'm atheistic, in that when I say, like, my interpretation of theism is the idea of literal personal gods, personified gods. That is to say that they are, that Zeus lives on a literal Mount Olympus somewhere, right? And that lightning bolts are hurled from his hand. Or that God created the world in 6 days and all that shit. A literal supernatural force. I think the concept of supernaturality is irrational. That doesn't mean that we don't see things that we would identify as supernatural. It just means that I think they're natural things. And we call them supernatural because we don't understand them yet. But I also don't think that when I think of Zeus, I think of an archetypal entity. I think of a mask for something deeper. And it's egregoric, and it's alive, certainly. It is a living spirit. So to a hard atheist, like someone like a hard skeptic atheist, they think I'm a theist, but I completely am not in that way. I see them, they're imaginary friends that live in the collective consciousness. They are alive. They have every characteristic of a living being. They evolve. they think, they act, they interact, they respond. But we call it imagination when we dream of them. And we don't realize that when we talk to each other, we're imagining each other anyway. You know, if I were to ever meet you face to face, Fleshy, and of course you just disappeared. If I ever met you face to face, I'm still imagining you as I see you, because what's happening is my brain is hallucinating your being. It's literally just a hallucination. That doesn't mean you don't exist. It means you don't exist as I see you. So Zeus, whatever that is, I'm not seeing Zeus as it really is. I'm seeing an imaginary Zeus. But Zeus has a, we'll say, primordial origin that is undeniable. There is something there. But to call it Zeus like it's this, you know, graying man that has too many children because he's a bit of a bastard and throws lightning bolts at people and is kind of a, yeah, I'd almost call him the bad guy that everybody treats as a good guy because they're scared of him, you know. That being is there in that way, and you can commune with it, you can talk to it, you can get responses from it. It just might not be in the way that a hard materialist will respect. That's all. I hate when Fleshy goes. You know what it is? When I do a stream by myself, I'm used to him not being here, and I just start reading chat and talking. Now I just feel like I'm talking to myself. It's like weird. It's like a weird shift. I can't do it. Can't do it. Let me read a chat here. Let me find something to say.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Good. I'm glad you're back. James Jones says, you're never going to get to the truth by carrying over Christian lies that we know to be false. That's true. I would also point out, though, that the Bible can be read in a very non-dual way and make a lot of sense. This is why I sort of jokingly say that, like, the first commandment, you know, thou shalt have no other God before me. And I invert that and say, I am the Lord my God. I shall have no God before me. That is like the most Luciferian thing I can possibly say. Ironic as that may sound to some people. But it's my belief, and I'm hoping someday to befriend a hardcore Hasidic, Jew who is into the esoteric mystical stuff and, who's over the age of 40 and knows what it's all really about. And I'd love to sit down with them and somehow get them to I know they couldn't tell me because they have their vows of secrecy, but I would love to somehow get them to confirm or deny for me my sort of non-dual understanding of it, because they would maybe say pantheistic or panentheistic, which to me is a form of non-dualism. It's a more theistic form of non-duality. The idea that all is God and all is within God, it's a very non-dual thought. I mean, really, we have dualism or non-dualism. There's really only two ways of looking at reality. And if you're a dualist, you think there's separation. Well, I don't think there's separation. I don't think it exists.
But I'm the middle path. I'm between non-dualism and dualism.
No, sad. Can't do it. Doesn't exist. You can't be a non-dual dualist.
I want to be a gray Jedi. Damn it.
Total misunderstanding of the concept. That's that Gemini thing again. Oh, I don't want to say one thing or the other. I want to be both.
I do.
I can predict your reaction to anything just because you're a Gemini. I just know that you're always going to be like, well, I think you're both right.
That's not because I'm a Gemini. That's me playing both sides that I always come out on top.
That's a Gemini. Always hedging, always hedging, always. You're the Rothschild of the group, man. You're always going to be on both sides of the war. Always. Ow. Always.
Ooh. I've never heard something that I agreed with so completely and I hated so much.
That's why I love you.
Oh God. CM Helnikainen says, I believe in non-triality.
Good one. Well, that's the funny thing about non-dualism is it literally just means not two in the literal sense. So you could say it's three, but No, that's not what the reason
No,
they say
we-
non-duality is because that's the only way to say the void in that way of thinking.
I guess non-twoism would still not be in disagreement with non-threeism.
Yeah, right. It's like saying non-number. Like it can't be a number. And it sounds better than non-monism. So we say non-dualism.
Is that are non-binary folk like the best non-dualists?
That's the irony is like when trying to think of other ways of saying non-duality in like a new way, like the word non-binary pops into my head. I'm like, nope, don't do that. It's you're just going to open a can of worms that, look, I've already got my little twink harem all over around me, man. I'm not that I'm complaining. You know I'm not complaining. But damn, if I start saying that I'm a non-binaryist, it's all over, dude. It's just going to be like, I don't know what's going to happen next,
Hey,
man. I just don't know.
I think that's opening yourself to a whole fandom that you will not realize how much you love until they're here.
I do love it. That's the part people don't. I've said. I'll say it again. I love my little twink harem. I got no problem with it. It's just I can't reciprocate. It's just not my thing, man. Like, sure, like I'll fucking how do I put this, man? I used to, like when I was growing up. Like I said, I'd go to the goth clubs, and I would always end up. There was this one. I forget what she called herself, but it was an M to F transsexual would come in, and they would dress it up to the nines, and they were fucking awesome. And like, I don't know what it was, but I just ended up gathering like all these people that were of all these interesting sexualities. This is before I was fully on board with it, if that makes sense. Like I was open to it, but I wasn't like, this is good. I was just like, you really like putting it in there? Like those kind of things. Or you like dressing that way, really? Like I was judging it without meaning to. And then like, I just learned to love it.
Everybody goes through that stage, I think, even if they don't like admitting it.
Yeah, well, okay. But then eventually I was like, no, this is actually kind of fucking cool. I like this person. This person's funny as shit. I like how comfortable they are in their own skin. This is fucking awesome. I fucking envy you. That's fucking, yes, madam. And it just became like this thing. And like now I feel nothing but love. So long as it's, what I don't like is the woke version of it. You know why, right? I appreciate it. I don't appreciate the woke, like the, how dare you misgender me or blah, 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 especially if it's just a damn accident. I can't remember people's names unless I tell it to myself 100 fucking times. If I get your pronoun wrong, it's just because I've got mental fart. It's not because I got a problem with it. I'm not doing it on purpose ever. You know what I mean? It would take a lot for me to be that hateful and hurtful.
Yeah, and I'm there with you. I love anybody who's true enough to their own self to just put that out there. It's like, I fucking love you. I don't care what you are even. You're that comfortable with yourself. I fucking appreciate you. And
I'll go an extra mile that people might not like, especially back in the time when I first encountered it, because back then there was a little risk to it more than, not saying there's no risk today. I mean, it depends on where you live and your surroundings and the people around you. But today it's way easier to come out with these things than it was when I was experiencing it. When I was experiencing it, that person took a risk. Getting dressed up that way, being that obvious, showing up, even at a goth club where that stuff's usually like, oh yeah, it's nothing. Mm-hmm. It still is like, you got to get through the parking lot. You know what I mean? And nowadays, like, it's less of a badge. If I can be so bold, it's less of a badge. And now we're at the point where, like, what you say really means something to me, which is why we treat it different at all anymore. Like it's just another way of being. It's not more special or less special than any other. It's like, why judge it at all in any way? Like, it's just a matter. It's like, I like the color blue, like that doesn't make you special or not special. It's just, you like the color blue.
Yeah. And well, to point out something that you said, because there are, and I think it gets, I think it represents a very small proportion of the community that gets greatly exaggerated, but there are people who use it like a badge, and I don't think that's the case for a lot of people. A lot of people are just being true to themselves. Well, and it's not for credit or anything like that. It's just, I want to be who I feel like I am.
I look forward to the day where it doesn't come up except for a need to know situation.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I don't lead with the fact that I'm cis. Why should I?
Don't fucking matter.
It shouldn't matter. right? And if it does matter, it should only matter if you're trying to fuck me. That's the only time it should matter.
Yep.
That's it. And respect the person's proclivity. It's that simple. It's not a choice they made, right? The only choice they made is to tell you.
To trust you in that way.
Yeah, or to trust themselves. I know people that I think are forever in the closet because they were born and raised in a situation where they hate it, and they think that they can hide it and not give into it, and they act straight, and I know they're not, or I don't think they are, or at least they're bi, and they don't admit it, and they suffer because of it. And in that instance, it is a choice. That's the only time it's a choice, in my opinion, is when you deny it, when you deny one way or the other. That's the choice.
We call that a Tom Cruise maneuver.
Why is that? This is some coded shit I don't know. Let me in the group here. What do I not know?
Why do you think he's always running in every movie? He's trying to outrun his gay thoughts.
Oh, shit. That's fucked up. Because, I was related to him for a while because one of my third cousins was Nicole Kidman. So, through marriage. So we're not technically blood, but.
Huh. I feel like.
We did send invites to a wedding. Like my uncle, just because they sent an invite to them when they got married. We'll put it that way.
I feel.
They didn't show up.
You know what? I choose to believe you because I feel like if you were trying to get the credit of like, I'm associated with this celebrity, you'd choose a better celebrity. So yeah, I believe you.
It was technically Nicole Kidman, not Tom Cruise. So
no. I'm saying that about both of them.
Well, I know they're both. Yeah, I don't really care about either of them. I love his movies, but I don't care about him either one way or the other. It's just some crazy dude who electrocuted Whoopi Goldberg one time on live TV. It was pretty cool. Because I love the gif of it where the electric bolts are shooting out of him.
Whoopi Goldberg? I think you're thinking of Oprah.
Oh, it was Oprah. Holy shit. Well, that just shows you I never really watched it. I don't know. I actually met Whoopi once. Indirectly, because she did a book signing at a job that at a bookstore I worked for. But yeah. Imagine that.
Well, I met D.H. Thorne once. On a show. That's yeah, I'm basically famous.
I mean, that's the thing. I love thinking about how we've never met. I've never even seen you. I mean, even now, I'm not seeing you. I'm just seeing a bunch of pixels that are lighting up in a pattern that resembles what I would see if I looked at you. I love it. I'm talking to a piece of plastic right now.
I know you're fucking evoking spirits every time that we connect. Every time. There is no physical totem that you've ever seen. It's just, you go to your fucking electronic grimoire and you press the buttons that, summons me.
And this is why we exist in a time in history when all of us that are watching this right now, all of us who have social media and identities online, are living in a time in history unlike anything before, where you can actually realize the true nature of your being in a way you've never thought of or had no access to before, because all of us are used to projecting and creating avatars for ourselves and creating false identities and living in a virtual world that is unreal. We all live in this weird existential crisis all the time right now, especially last year because of COVID and half of you guys didn't leave your house. So someone like me, I don't have any personal friends anymore because I'm just not comfortable meeting people anymore. I'm too old, or there's no place to go that, look, I don't blend. I go out in public and people are just like, what the fuck? Because I don't look like everybody else. I got the mohawk. I fucking wear the clothes I wear. I fucking, I don't fit in anywhere. You know what I have to do to fit in? I have to put my hat on backwards and wear colors for a change. And I don't do any of that shit. I can't do any of that shit. It just feels wrong, right? So I don't really fit in anywhere, and the places I would fit in are all in places that are 50 to 100 miles from me. So it's just, no, I don't feel like I've got any personal friends anymore. I feel like everybody here, almost, we could probably all meet and get along great, but we all live on opposite sides of the world.
So see, everywhere that you feel like you would fit in, it's 50 or whatever miles away. I really feel like, and don't take this seriously, Susan Wojcicki, if you're listening, I really feel like, because I know Camilla has a thing with planes, I need to get you guys over here, but I'm going to also send some tea by mail because I know where you guys live. And she should drink it beforehand. And it will just be some like, call me tea, like super
Very
call me tea. And then you guys like, and she doesn't even know that you're about to jump on a plane. She just knows
Gotcha.
we're about to go visit Desmond.
Gotcha. Yeah, that could work, but she doesn't like tea. So I'll be the one drinking it. I'll be fucking
man.
on my ass, and she'll be like in the living room, like, I don't know what happened, but Thorne just, it's been 2 days. He shit himself 3 times and said something about flying. I don't know what the fuck.
There's a pool slowly growing around him. Oh shit, I gave him the ayahuasca coffee. He's going through La Purga.
Yeah. Eden Garden says, is it nice being in your 40s? Is it hard? Honestly, I feel better than I ever have. There's literally, I mean, granted, I'm like basically a vampire in a lot of ways. So I am starting to notice the aging, but it is not substantial. It's like a little gray hair here. I noticed when I was really tired yesterday after work that I was yawning and like I had a wrinkle under my eyes that I didn't notice before. But honestly, if you put a picture of me when I was 18 next to me now, it's obviously different, but it's not that obvious. Like I could pass for a younger version of myself. If I shave my beard, forget it. So actually losing weight aged me more than anything.
Isn't it weird how that happens? Like fucking Penn Jillette. Like when he lost weight, he just looked like he gained 30 years.
I think, yeah. Although I don't know if it had that same effect on me. I think most people think I'm in my 30s,
like
you know, but no, I think it does. It does something. Like I know that if you're ever trying to hide your identity, like it's an old ninja trick, quite literally. I don't know if that's where it originates, but it's definitely something that they knew. They would basically go into a fasting mode where they would eat these high nutrient dense but calorie zero meals made out of this interesting concoction of stuff. So they basically starve themselves for like a month or so, and they'd emaciate themselves. And it was actually the best way of disguising yourself, because if you've ever seen somebody, you know, who's lost a lot of weight and become emaciated a little bit, their features change quite substantially. If you ever look at somebody, not to, hopefully it doesn't apply to anybody here, but maybe it does. If you've ever seen somebody who's been a meth addict for a long time and they just were on the outs and they look like absolute crap, and then they get better and they put on weight again, they look like 2 completely different people. You could pass them on the street and not know they were them. So losing weight changes more about your features than almost anything else you can do to yourself. So as someone who's lost 80 or 90 pounds now, although I gained a little bit back in the last week or two because of, you know, the feasting, I'm probably like 240 something, 242. And I was down to 232 for like a whole month. Damn it. My goal is to be back down to like 215 or so. That would be perfect. Oh, you are cracking the hell out of your fingers.
Sorry. That's still always fucking crazy for me to imagine. Like the heaviest I've ever been was 160. Like I can't imagine walking around with like, I can't imagine being double what I am. Like my knees already hurt sometimes, dude. Like,
yeah. Well, my knees do hurt, but it's because I beat the hell out of them doing things. Like that one time I landed on it 3 times in a row at Splish Splash, which is the water park around where I am. And I fell out the damn thing trying to get out of it just right and landed on my knee on the concrete really fucking hard, like 3 times. And it was the same knee that I fell on ice once. So that knee is a little bit, it acts up a little bit. But nah, my biggest thing is pains that I've always had. Like when I was 20, I hurt my back and it's never been the same. And I heal everything. Everything just doesn't really stay a problem. Nothing does. I've had teeth rot out of my head and I didn't feel it. So
yeah.
Like,
No,
I don't know if
thank
my
you.
nerves just don't work like other people's or what, but I don't know.
It's choosing your reality.
I
Choosing your
honestly
perception.
will say I for a guy who's abused his body like I have and was in the 320, I would actually say that to anybody I care about, I would wish my health on you. You know, I have 0 health problems that I'm aware of. The closest call I had was in 220. You know, 2020, when I was getting like these weird, I think it's anxiety plus blood pressure based. I was getting weird pains in my chest that I think were really that, because considering what I do all day at my other job, I don't feel that pain at all. I can literally carry trees around on my shoulders, running with them, and not feel anything. But when I would go for the walk at night once in a while, I'd feel that way. And I think it was an anxiety feeling. I think I've got a little bit of, maybe a little of agoraphobia going on. I don't know. There's, you know, look, you can be,
It was the fucking time for it to happen.
it sure was, you know, fuck 2020. I hope that shit never happens again.
I'm still, I know it's a fucking meme and everybody's saying it, but Jesus fucking Christ, dude, we're like a month away from 2022, and I'm still processing fucking 2020.
Hunter Salazar says, I know an old vampire that I've met and said vampire books to, and she annotates them by writing pages and pages of notes. And I sent her Infernal Vampire book in her, and she wrote many pages, hopefully good ones. Hopefully not, this guy's an asshole, I hate him. What's interesting was, if you read that, a lot of that stuff that was in there was stuff that is sort of like, it originated from the 90s vampire scene online, and my own practices therein. And I helped form some of that stuff that became the norm. Maybe not as like, you know, popular or famous as I am now, but definitely had my hand in it. And I find it interesting to see where it's gone, you know, and the influence that people, you know, like Michael Ford and what's his name, Father Sebastian's had on the whole thing. And I kind of, you know, when I wrote Infernal Vampire, it was because I felt the need to do it, but it's also like a chapter in my life that I don't go back to. Like it's not a practice that I maintain anymore. Quite frankly, it's a thing that I wouldn't even say I've healed from, because that's a misunderstanding of what vampirism isn't a curse. It's not a flaw, but it can be negative, right? When people are vampiric and they don't recognize that they have this imbalance, we'll say, they can hurt people. They become emotional vampires, psychic vampires. They hurt one another, they feed off of people, and it can really develop into a problem. But people who practice vampirism intentionally, I think actually are on the road to curing themselves. And when I say curing, I don't mean it in the usual connotation of cure, like you've got a problem. I mean, they're on a road to balancing this thing until at some point they don't need to anymore. Quite honestly, I think it's like someone who practices any form of vampirism, be it sanguinarian or energy vampirism, they may do it for the rest of their lives. Some do, for sure. But I will also note that you don't notice or find or run into many people in their 40s or 50s who legitimately claim to be one and practice it at the same time. They exist, clearly, but it's rare. And I think what happens a lot of times is that whatever was causing the need for the vampiric action is not corrected, but changed, you know, reverted. Maybe the origin of their vampirism is they've got a vampire feeding on them. That's usually why people become vampiric, is because they've got someone in their life that is an energy vampire on some level and is literally draining them. So there's only two ways
to cure the imbalance.
They've got to, yeah, and one way to do that is to practice the same thing. And if the person feeding on you is a close family member, like a mother, father, sister, brother, somebody who's really close to you, a lover, something like that, man, you're learning how to do it by being around them. You're literally, you know, especially if your parents raise you like that, you kind of can't help it. So when I wrote that book, I wanted to distance myself from the Father Sebastian side of things. Let's be clear, I have nothing but respect for anybody who builds a community, okay? And what they believe is fine. But what I didn't like about his work is it's more about building a culture. It's more about building a bunch of terminology that makes people feel like they're in a cult or a clique. And I don't think that they were being negative to it. I just think that that's not what I wanted. I wanted something that was more about the actual practices and how you could work with them. And so I started working with Lilith because I knew Lilith to be like the mother of vampires in the ancient world. And I was like, fuck it, this is going to be, and once I made connection with that spirit, I was like, nope, here we go. Got to use Lilith, got to use Lilith. And I shouldn't say use Lilith. I got to let Lilith use me and be the conduit for that working. And next thing I know, that book flowed out, and the people that got it, I would say that book wasn't for everybody, but for who it was for, it was a hit. The people who it wasn't for, they just didn't even learn about it. And, I got good reviews, so I'm happy.
Out of curiosity, because you said that you're cured, so to speak, not using that.
Like, for lack of a better term.
Thank you. Would you say part of writing that was kind of being able to bookend that and put it behind you in a way?
At least for now, yeah. Because I also think that there's a part of me that, as much as I like the edgy side of things, there's a part of me that resents some of it because it's, me, I don't like superstition. I hate superstition. I hate when things get too... superstitious,
dogmatic.
Dogmatic, yeah. I think that people feel inferior and imperfect and not special, and so they capitalize on the weird shit because it makes them feel special. Just like people used to say about conspiracy theorists. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist because there's nothing special about you, and you feel like having this special knowledge makes you special. So you get all up into this cult of shit. Now, I get that. And I think that that's
there are definitely
what happens.
Some people that are like that.
Absolutely. And I think that that's a big part of the supernatural community itself, is that maybe they're, and I don't see them as bad. I don't see them as bad people, but they don't feel special, and they feel like this is a special thing about them. And I say this maybe as a slight projection because growing up, maybe that was a part of what it was for me. But now that I don't, once I reemerged onto this scene after not doing this stuff for so long and being a hard skeptic for a while, I found that amusing because I wasn't doing it for that reason anymore. I'm literally like, a student of Alan Watts's Digital Force Ghost, and decided to explore occultism again as a way of sort of accepting the challenge he gave of going out and doing the magical things for the sake of doing them and experiencing them, just for that, not because they work, but just to experience them. And in so doing, I had a huge breakthrough, and that breakthrough led me to do all of this. And it's been night and day. My life changed overnight.
Jesus Christ. I think Alan Watts' Digital Forced Ghost is like your fucking shoulder angel. And on the other side, the little fucking digital shoulder demon avatar is fucking Alex Jones, dude.
No, because even though I think Alex Jones happens to be right about a lot, he poisons that punch a lot. But
so clearly you're listening to the shoulder demon quite a bit.
No, I would prefer to see the shoulder demon as something that tempts me, but that I don't agree with. The temptation would be to go with all of this theistic supernatural shit and to not do it. Sometimes do it, but not do it. Sometimes do it because it pays better. Honestly, if I was out to make money, I would be sitting here with,
Dude, you would have 500 demon in review playlists.
And they would all be fake because they would have to be. I'm not going to keep up with that many spirits. I spend a lot more energy on spirits than I think most people do. And I don't spend that much on them, to be brutally honest. I get to know them and I get what I need out of them and I move on. And I don't like to spend a lot of time. I don't want to become a worshiper of something. That's kind of what I'm getting at, a venerator of things. Yes. Not a worshiper of things. And I know some people, they're the same word, but for me, they're different. I'm kind of walking in circles here, so forgive me.
I appreciate you, CM. Not everybody gets it, but I do.
That's something about grabbing cans. I know it. I mean, there's times. Where's Eddie when I need him? There's times when I look at all of these things that I'm doing now, and I go, well, that was fun. Now it's time to close the door on that and go more dark monk again. Go back towards that. This is one of the reasons why I never called myself, a Satanist, because I'm not. I'm not a Satanist. I even hesitate to say Luciferian, except I'm a Luciferian like I'm a libertarian. I don't believe in Lucifer as the Lord and God of my life or anything like that. I'm a Luciferian in archetypal principle. Not because I think of Lucifer as a god that I have to worship. I see Lucifer as a element of the collective consciousness, a mask for something bigger.
Yeah.
And that mask is one of my favorites.
You're not saying this is the guy we need to be following. You're saying this is an example of how we should hold ourselves.
It's just one of many, and if you prefer Lord Shiva, or if you prefer Jesus, or if you prefer Enki, or any of them, by all means. What I like about Lucifer is that it's as an archetype, it contains a lot, and it has the ability to be just as evil as it does potentially beautiful, and that's to me. To be quite clear, there are things that I identify as distasteful, and I try to integrate. That's sort of my goal, is to look at something and go, that is horrible. And I'm going to keep looking at it because I have to, because that's a part of what I really am. And to deny that is to deny a part of the world, which just increases the illusion of separation. It's like, not to bring up a word that can get Susan Wojcicki in here to fire me, but when I look at the most distasteful things that I won't even name, I find myself like a young child who doesn't want to watch a horror movie, but does it so that they can grow up and stop being scared of the dark. Exactly, right? So I'll look at that stuff and be like, I want to kill this thing. I want to destroy it. This is the most evil, horrible thing. I hate this. But then I have to look at that and go, but you do realize that is just the other side of you, don't you? And I got to tell you, that's not easy. And that's not even easy to admit to, because that implies something that people would want to read into. That could be dangerous. That's not true, but it's still like, people who haven't integrated their own shadow will hear that, especially on a specific example, and go, how dare you even give that airtime in your head? And it's like, but I have to. Because as much as I find that distasteful, something I would never do, if I don't recognize that as the other side of me, then I am practicing dualism. I'm practicing separation, which is only empowering my ego. That part of it says, look at how horrible it is. I need to destroy it. That is ego talking.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get it right all the time. There's plenty of times when I go, we got to destroy these motherfuckers. We got to, string them up by their balls kind of thing. Like, leave them kids alone type of shit. But at the same time, I have to look at that with wisdom and maturity and recognize that as much as I cannot permit that, I can't deny it either. I can deny it about myself. I can deny it about what I would do, but I can't deny that it is a part of my grand, unified Brahman Atman self. I can't deny that. And that's hard. People don't give that enough things. Like, people don't realize just how hard that is, because there's always
it's
something.
Fucking brutal.
Because there's something out there that you can't do that with. And if you can find that thing, I challenge you to integrate it. I'm talking about the most heinous thing you can think of. I'll give you some examples that are less heinous. That, go find a snuff film somewhere. Horrible as that is, I'm not telling you to do it like in a way that'll get me in trouble. I mean, challenge yourself. Can you watch a beheading video from when the Islamic terrorists were doing that? Can you watch it without being so triggered into hate or hysterics? Can you watch that and just let it flow through you and be like, that's reality?
Hell,
just accept it as reality.
Even just watch something like the Serbian film, or something where this is all just acting. This did not actually happen the way it's portrayed. but this exists out there in the world. Try not to have a fucking visceral reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not strong enough. Some of that shit I just have to turn off because I get physically sick.
Yeah. And it's not, you know, the thing is not to become a voyeur. It's to challenge. It's not just to desensitize. It's actually, there's a fine line between integration and desensitization. A very fine line. You don't want to become desensitized to it. You're trying to integrate it so that you can experience it and not be destroyed by it. And that's an endless process, by the way. You're never going to be finished. and people are putting suggestions, and I got to tell you, I don't want to look at half of them. I don't make it a daily thing to go look at something horrible, trust me. But the part of that is, if I recognize that and go, well, I don't want to look at that, then I go, that's a shadow. That's a shadow.
I'm slightly alarmed. Give me death or freedom. Just chimed in with like hey, if you want to challenge yourself, go look up this video by name.
No thanks. Not right now. Maybe later.
I'm going to take your word on it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is, I always forget the Zen word for it, but there's a Zen meditation of meditating upon your death. And that's a different version of it. It's literally, I just burped. Woo, that was a good one. That was some chicken burp. Meditating on your death to the point, and one person got all bugged out. Don't visualize and think about your death. You're going to make it happen. And I'm just like, dude, you're going to die anyway. In fact, you're not going to die, but death will
without you.
Yeah, death is going to happen. Death happens every moment. Relax. No, I mean, you really need to, every now and then, think about your death. Think about the worst possible way to go. Just think about it. Try to think about it viscerally. Really meditate on that fucker. Really try to put yourself there.
Like exactly how it would feel, exactly what thoughts you would be having in the moment.
Mm-hmm. And don't just stop at yourself. Put people you love next to you. Maybe even experiencing death with you. You know, envision a car crash with you and your whole family. How far can you go through that? How vividly can you experience that without turning away? Can you go through that? Because your mind will morbidly do that all the time. Now, some people will say, well, you got to be careful because as a sorcerer, wizard, magician, whatever, what you think about can come true. And if your intention is for it to come true, yes. You don't cause it, though. I don't believe that magic causes anything. I believe that magic is a predictive act. I think that you predict what you're going to experience. You align with what is meant to be experienced, and the magical act is a way of aligning with it. It doesn't cause it. Some people will completely disagree and give me all kinds of hate mail over it, and I don't care. Technically, if you are what I think you are, you couldn't tell the difference between whether you caused something or just predicted anyway. I mean, if you're an all-powerful God, prediction is cause, and cause is prediction. It's you can only predict something you don't have control over. Put it like that. Because that's all you can do is predict. You can't cause it. But if you are the one who can do it, then by predicting it, you're causing it. So, I don't know. Semantics, I guess. That's a semantic thing. But yeah, no, so literally, so like imagine a car accident. That's one of my favorites because it's the most visceral sometimes. Imagine a car accident. You're driving down the road with your family and drunk driver swerves off their side of the road, hits you, and boom, smash. And you hear it and feel it, and you go flying through the windshield. And, you know, as you're going through the windshield, you see your significant other next to you flying with you, and they're all broken and flying through the air. And then you hit the ground, you feel that, all those sounds. Try to get there in all of the most horrible ways. Imagine the light going out. I'm not saying do it every day to give yourself anxiety. I'm saying...
please don't do that.
I'm saying get familiar, is all I'm saying.
Let it be something that you're familiar with in an attempt to let it not have power over you anymore.
Right. To not have power. You want death to be an old friend by the time it shows up. How about that?
Yeah, I like that.
Because let me put it to you like this, okay? The more attached you are to your bodily incarnation, which is just an illusion that you are that and only that, the more attached you are to this idea that you are this person with this body, the more painful it's going to be when you go, even if you go in a peaceful way. So one of the ways to detach from that is to recognize and be okay with the worst possible ways of going. Because you realize it's not happening to you, it's happening to your avatar. And your avatar is just a character on the screen. When you watch a character you're playing in a video game get minced apart in the most horrible ways, do you feel it? Nah. You get mad that it happened, but you don't feel it.
I had a witch in Bloodborne scoop out my character's eyes once, and I felt that a little bit.
What was it? Dead Space, that has some pretty heinous moments. Yeah, there's some pretty good ones in there. Yeah.
So, thank you, Spirit X Diesel, for the super chat.
Thank
I'm
you,
thankful
Mr.
for you
Diesel.
tonight.
Cock Diesel, it's the usual pineapple. This time it's a thumbs up pineapple.
That's a pear.
Did I say pineapple?
Yeah.
I've told you guys I have a problem with some words. There's no, I mean, it's ironic that I'm an author and I can't remember words half the time.
I need to bring you over to where I live and get you indulged in the gay culture so you know your fruits a little bit better.
Oh, man. Only you could say that, because if I said that, I'd be canceled.
Hey,
tomorrow.
if you said that, I would start cackling my ass off and then say
You
it's
would,
okay.
And half of my audience would, but somebody out there with green hair would get all pissed off at me for it sooner or later.
Oh shit. Hey, it's okay. I'm here. I'm your representation. You've got the fucking F word pass, my dude.
I don't want the pass. I don't like the pass. I don't think it. You know.
You have to meditate on the pass and imagine saying it so that it has no power over you.
It's not that. It's just that,
let it flow from your mouth and embrace the cancellation.
I think Flesh Priest's real goal and secret agenda is get me canceled by getting me comfortable by saying things that no one should say about LGBTQ issues, and then he'll be like, "No, I back you, dude. Fucking say it. Come on, just yes, he's canceled." No,
Just the moment it happened, just why did you say that?
that'd be a great fucking April Fool's Day stream. Really would be. No, you know what it is because people, you know, I that's why I tell people I'm not like, as much as my politics might sound conservative, I'm certainly not conservative at all. I'm totally liberal in my social spectrum completely. I really don't. I'm just not woke. Like I'm not woke. I'm not third or fourth wave. Like I'm like the sane version of those things. That's the 90s version, if you will.
I feel like that's why we can get along as well as we do. It's just like economically we see things differently, like we're coming at different sides, and I'm kind of just like, whatever. We agree with everything socially. Like just fucking let people be people. Like, yeah.
That's why like say like Shoe on Head. Like I loved Shoe on Head for a little while, though she can be a little bit of a bitch about things to some people, but I liked Shoe on Head for a while until I learned that they like Bernie. I'm like, no, now we can't be friends. Damn it, never. I still watch that shit once in a while. But
I liked Bernie.
I know you did. I don't know. That's why we shouldn't talk politics. I'll cry. But then Blair White is like one of my all-time favorite YouTubers now. Like I love watching Blair White. But I don't know, man. It's one of those things. Like, you know, this is why I tell people it's not a simple left versus right thing. There's like a whole bunch of shit you got to integrate into your view of things. Like I said, I'm full, and I find that a lot of the times people who land on one side of the spectrum than the other is because they think that side's more accepting to their social views than the other side, not realizing that that's changed so much in the last 20 years or so that it's no longer that way. My personal view on things socially is actually very common on the right side of politics now. It's actually kind of the norm. That's not to say that there isn't the other guys still there. They are. Just like the extreme is on the other side, right? So the shitheads exist on both sides of this aisle. They really do. So,
yeah.
Like we said that one time, I wish all the hardcore commies and hardcore Nazis would just get into a big cage fight and just fight to the death and both win. Please, just get together and kill each other. Please, just do it. Make us all happy, please.
Just take out the extremes and just the comfortable middle. Just the people who aren't fucking nutso.
And give me death or freedom. So people don't fall into the left-right paradigm. It's toxic. I mean, they do, but generally they don't, or they don't know they do, or whatever. I think if you go on Twitter, you generally are subjected to the left-right paradigm very strongly. If you go into my community, you're just confronted with a bunch of ideas that look one way or the other. But most people, like, I'm right economically and liberal socially. And to me, the more important of the two issues is the social one. Like, that's the most important one. If we can agree on the libertarian view of the social spectrum, then we can disagree on the other and not kill each other. If that makes sense. It's only when you believe that everything has to be authoritative, you know. How dare you misgender me? Like, okay, shut up. You know, I didn't mean to. Relax.
It's one thing when it's intentional, but legitimate accidents, that's, yeah.
I know it happens intentionally, but I also know that a lot of times the opposite is the truth, where people don't do it on purpose and they get vilified for it. And it becomes like, you know, that it's not just virtue signal, it's victim signaling. It's like, look how much of a victim I am. They don't respect my pronouns. And it's like, relax. I don't care about your pronoun, period. Like what it is. I don't care if you're him, her, she, it, or you know, a bottlenose dolphin. I really don't give a shit. That doesn't affect me. It's none of my damn business. And even if it is, it's none of my business. It's like I said, my gender or preference doesn't matter unless you're trying to fuck me. Otherwise, it shouldn't matter to me either. Like, you're a person and you have value because you're a person, not because of who you like to have sex with or what clothes you like to wear or how you like to be perceived. I will respect it. If someone comes to me and says, treat me this way, why should I do anything else? I want you to treat me a certain way. Why should I do any different for you? Doesn't bother me. Never did. Doesn't bother me. But if I fuck it up because it's not obvious, don't be mad.
No, it's one of those things, and like, I'm fucking cis, so I can't speak to the trans experience. I have a lot of friends who are trans, so like, I feel like I have some validity with the comparison I'm about to make, but obviously it's different. When I fucking changed my name, there is a big difference between the people who still called me by my old name because that's just what they're used to. And, you know, I couldn't fault them for it. I joked with you a couple times of like, hey, it's Desmond now. Like, hey, you remember it's Desmond, like lightly ribbing you. And then there were other people who were like, I know you're going by Desmond, but I'm not going to use that. I'm still going to call you by your old name. And there's a big fucking difference.
I mean, that's not to say that I didn't raise my eyebrow about it, but I was like, well, I mean, this is who he is now, so whatever. If that's who he wants to be called, I'll just call him Flesh Priest and fuck it all up. I won't even call him Desmond unless I have to. Yeah, Hunter said something very good. He says, ideas are peaceful, history is violent. Yeah, exactly. Very true. I'm very liberal economically and socially, but the extremes are usually stir up the conflicts and bring it to a fever pitch of war, sucking everyone else in. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oh, it's definitely true spiritually, Hunter. Absolutely. Like I said in one of my last streams, dude, everything we're seeing right now is mirrored in the spiritual. There's no question that there's a war for the heart and mind of humanity, whether we're going to be authoritarian or otherwise, you know. And I lean on if you're not trying to force me into it, I don't care what you do. You can be as commie as you want, so long as you don't create a system where I have to be commie with you, then we're fine. You want to live in a beautiful little commune and that's fine. If you want to convince everybody to you know, if your idea is so good and you just want to lay it on everybody and maybe convince everybody, that's good too. So long as you're not making laws that says I have to do it with you, then we're fine. I want to live in a system where you can do it, but aren't forced to, rather than one where you have no choice. Because you can always choose to limit yourself. You can't choose to free yourself if they won't let you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have a system that's fully open and free, then people can be as right or left wing as they want, personally. It's just the minute you got to make it law that I got to get a problem with it. Because you can always limit yourself to whatever paradigm you want. And if your idea doesn't work unless everybody does it, then maybe it's not such a good idea. you know, because you're never going to get 100% compliance without force. And I don't like force. I'm a libertarian, not non-aggression principle all the way, 100%.
You're like the subtractive approach to power rather than the additive, which might only make sense for you'd rather just start out with all of it and then chisel away what you don't want until you get with what you desire, rather than having to build up everything.
I mean, as a libertarian, I believe that leftism is a form of authoritarianism, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a form of leftism that isn't. It's just that, generally speaking, for whatever reason, the only version of leftism that ever gets put on the table is do this or else we put a gun in your face somewhere down the line, either because we're going to tax you and if you don't pay your taxes, you're fucked, or just because, you know, because it's like hardcore dictatorial authoritarian tyranny. That doesn't mean that that's, as one person put it, we're all socialist in our families. We're all socialist in our personal dealings with one another. That's not the problem. The problem is not the principle. The problem is how do we apply it in a way that is voluntary to as many people as possible. And if it's not voluntarism on some level, then it's authoritarianism on some level to me. There is a binary there. There is no middle. You're either for it or you're not for it. And if you're not for it, and they make you do it, then that's not freedom at that point.
There was that thing, I forget what it is, with my family. I don't remember that bit, but with my neighbors, I'm a communist. With like the further and further away it gets, the less you want anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. It's like when it comes to a national level, I'm a fucking libertarian. Mm-hmm. When it comes to my family or like my close neighbors, this is a democracy.
I mean, I'm fair with that. Like I said to CM, I know, I've said if we had a truly free, say libertarian, free market, capitalist civilization, you could have whatever communist plans you want in your own incorporated community with its own so long as the contract was open so that there was exit clauses for people, that they weren't forced to stay there if they hated it, so long as it was voluntary, then I've got literally no problem with everybody becoming an incorporated community where you just pour all of your resources together and distribute them fairly. Who cares? It's not my problem if you want to do that, so long as I can choose to exit that if it doesn't favor me. And that's, to me, that's like, I don't know, maybe there's a version of that is out there that I haven't found. If it is out there, I don't have a problem with it. I agree with you on some level. Like what if I told you one of my ideal ways to be would be to have like a little community where we're all together and we all have our own separate, but we can also have a group fund and say, hey, this is for the the entertainment room, and this is for the healthcare, and this is for the blah blah blah. That don't bother me on if I know everybody involved and I care about everybody involved, then I don't mind doing it. I got a problem though when people say if you don't pay for it, then we're going to send the police because you didn't pay your taxes. And if you don't comply with the police, then we're going to shoot you or put you in jail, etc. The force is at the end of the stick. And so if you got socialism without a stick, I'm okay with it. I got no, because I'm big on the non-aggression principle. If you understand the non-aggression principle, then that's a pretty open perspective, right? It means that do as thou will, basically. On every level, do as thou will. Just don't force me into it. So that's all.
Susan's boss says, ew, volunteerism. I think they're more of the might makes right.
Hey, I mean, unfortunately, might does make right. That is a fact. It doesn't mean that it is right. It just means that is what is. This is why the power to the people must be always enshrined. This is why you must always have this attitude that I have above me on this banner, whether you're left or right. You must have that perspective. If the people do not have the ultimate authority, then you're fucked. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that. See, one reason I don't like the word democracy is because it implies that if you get a large enough group together, they can predate on the small group. So if you get 51 people out of 100 saying we have to eat the other 49, that's not okay. So you need a constitutional republic to prevent that kind of abuse. But you can still use a democratic process to decide who represents you in that system.
It was their fault for looking tasty.
You know what I've often said about taxes? However you want to tax us, let me choose where those taxes goes on an individual level. Do that and the whole world would blow up overnight. It'd be pretty interesting. You'd have a lot of fucking, you know, what's Necco girls. There'd be a lot of Necco girls flying around, I think.
And no more potholes.
No more potholes and a lot of Necco girl videos. It would be pretty crazy. Or Necco boys. I don't know. Maybe both. You know.
Hey, just lots of cat ears. That's the important part.
If
my fucking bias is happy either way.
Imagine if your taxes came every year and you could have the check this box if you want us to do it, or check this box if you want to distribute it as you wish. And here's your options. I have a feeling we'd all be living on Mars by now, and we'd all have fucking, you know, flying cars. And like I said, like a lot of Necco porn. I think, you know, a lot of government sponsored Necco porn and shit. It'd be pretty some weird shit out there. So
holy shit, where do I sign up? You
right?
got my vote, dude.
I've told it I should be like, I think I am the Antichrist. I just haven't figured it out how to do it yet. No, I mean, it's
you're the fucking Antichrist. Oh, you go.
CM says mandatory cat femboys. Oh man, that's my harem, unfortunately for me. I guess it's just I'm just kidding.
Meowster.
Okay, you're the Antichrist, but unfortunately, the Antichrist was fucking born in the 20th century and came with fucking ADHD.
Yeah, unfortunately. No, you know what it is? I'm like the Kwisatz Haderach, but I'm not. What was the other guy that was literally right there but didn't? So in the first Doom
Neville Longbottom.
Was that him? The guy he almost fought that would have killed him if he did? But yeah, I don't remember. No,
I was making a Harry Potter.
I was going to say,
reference.
asshole. That's the wrong name, you fucker. You got me for a split second because I'm fucking tired. Whatever.
Yeah, I
Where's
don't.
Eddie when I need him?
Eddie would fucking know, but I'm blanking right now.
So I mean, you know, to be fair, I don't like Bernie. I got strong reasons for doing it, and I got evidence for reasons for it. But you know what?
I've seen the footage.
I've seen the footage. I know why. I remember when him and Ron Paul were going to audit the Fed, and then in the middle of the night at the 11th hour, when they were about to finally go through with it, it was almost like Bernie got a deal behind the scenes and suddenly went soft on the banks. It was pretty amazing. I don't know. That was when I kind of said, yeah, I don't know about this guy. And then ever since then, I never saw anything I liked. So I don't know. Whatever. I think everybody should like Ron Paul, though. I think Ron Paul is just unfortunately, he's not very charismatic. He doesn't even have that I'm nice grandpa that Bernie has. He's almost like the get off my lawn grandpa, unfortunately, which I guess I like, but I'm a little weird like that.
Oh no, he's forgettable.
I mean, I don't think he was to us, but you know what it is? You know what I find funny was that a lot of the Bernie bots are like a ditto of the Ron Paul bots back when we were the Ron Paul bots, and then the Bernie bots came out. Like so the Ron Paul bots and the Bernie bros are actually very similar in how we prosecute our political conversations. They're actually really funny. The same tactics were used for both. I found it really amusing when I was watching. I was like, wow, that's pretty funny. Like I remember saying that like 2 years ago. That's pretty funny.
You're just us, but photoshopped a little bit.
Well, maybe you're us, but photoshopped a little bit.
I wasn't saying that as the me. I was saying that as the universal me.
I know. You know what? We're both photoshops of something much more fundamental. The revolutionary spirit is in both of us. That's probably what it really is. We both have that.
We are nothing but troll face with different bottom text.
Yeah, Hunter brought up. I know we're getting into politics a little too much, but I'll comment on this, and we'll probably bounce on this one. But Rand Paul versus Ron Paul, if I had to choose between Rand Paul and the rest of the government, I prefer Rand Paul. But no, you're absolutely right. He is not his father. And Rand Paul is way more compromising, we'll say. Way more compromising. That's one thing I loved about Ron Paul is he didn't compromise. So, you know, but at the same time, Ron Paul was less realistic. Because Ron Paul, because he was less compromising, could never really achieve power to change anything because he would never play ball with the people who hold the power. So politics is a bitch because, you know, I was the idealist for a while. in politics, which is why I like Ron Paul. And unfortunately, he was great, but how much could he change outside of his own district, you know? And that's the problem. He couldn't change the world. All he could do was talk about it. Whereas Rand Paul maybe can. Maybe. DH, I keep seeing bear spirit in your aura and body posturing. You have any experience working with them? No, I will say that I believe that if I did have a
That's
spirit...
a little gay.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, maybe that was meant to be a little gay. That's okay, whatever, don't care. I always saw the crow more as my mentor than the bear. I think that the bear, I'm more like a bear that's being mentored by a crow. How about that? Catch me outside. I'm more like a bear being mentored by a crow.
That sounds like, you ever see that DreamWorks movie, Brother Bear?
No.
It'd be a long walk for a short drink to explain it, but that sounds like some fucking like direct to DVD fucking sequel material right there. Just the bear, which is guided by the crow, and they go on buddy cop shenanigans. But it's a dude.
You know what it is? Like, bears actually are one of the few animals that give me a little bit of the willies. Like, I must have got eaten by a Kodiak bear or something in a past life. Because fucking bears actually give me... of all the animals that I could confront in the wild, a bear makes me more nervous than any one of them. Even though the bears we have where I live are total pussies. You know, like, the bears in New York are just, like... Even if the baby bear comes running up to you, don't even worry about it. It's the... them big old bears that are going to eat your ass, the Alex Jones bears, the I will eat your ass bears, the Kodiak bears, the big grizzly bears, not polar bears for some reason as much, but definitely the big fat fuckers with the, something about it. I had a dream once that a baby bear was attacking me, and I woke up literally like swinging my arm around, flailing and like hitting my wife by accident. And I was like, oh shit. And it was like, oh my God, it was like the worst dream I ever had. And like, dude, I was scared shitless in that dream. Like, that dream scared the shit out of me.
Dude, bears are weird where, like, I don't, like, if I'm scrolling on my phone and a picture of a snake comes up, I will throw my phone because it is such a visceral fucking reaction. Bears do not trigger me at all, but I've ran into bears in the wilderness and I just, like, everything just freezes, like pure fucking fear of just like a black bear wandering through the fucking campsite. Those things are fucking intimidating when you see them.
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
powerful, dude.
Well, the black bears we have don't usually get very big where I'm from. Like, you might get one that stands 6 feet on its hind legs, maybe. They'll still fuck you up, but it generally, like, more people are killed by backfiring cars than bears in New York. I mean, it's that bad.
I mean, yeah, but also I'm a twink ass bitch, and a fucking strong wind could blow me over, let alone a fucking 500-pound ass bear over there that wants the fucking jelly donuts that I'm carrying.
Just throw the jelly donuts and walk away calmly. That's what you got to do. Don't run. Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. Like, I also think bears are fascinating and cool at the same time. Like, I look at bears like, I don't know, fuck a motherfucker up. I respect that shit. But, you know, I don't know. There are animals that I would considerably fight, even though I know I'd lose, like a tiger or a lion or something. I don't know why, but I'd rather die to them than a bear. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because bears are notorious for eating you before you're dead and just working their way up from the bottom. I don't know. I'm sure a lion will do it too, but they usually start in places that you die quicker from. Bears don't care. They just start eating whatever's in their mouth. And the more scared a bear gets, the more hungry it gets. I've learned that from watching documentaries. So
yeah, it's going back to that whole reflecting upon your death idea and everything. Yeah,
that's definitely
like,
one of them.
Yeah, like, listen to the fucking rogue bear attack thing. There was one that I heard with Mr. Ballin's fucking videos where it's just, fuck, dude, I can listen to the most grisly, no pun intended, shit and be totally fine. But then one will come out of left field, and that was one just, listening to somebody get slowly eaten by a fucking grizzly, where it's just like, okay, well,
they actually had the audio of that, because that was that guy who was like, he was
no,
living in Alaska, and he gets killed with his girlfriend, and his video recorder was his audio recorder was going because he was doing something as a documentary that he wasn't really an official like animal person.
I know who you're talking about. Apparently the video, it's either the video or the audio does exist, but it's never been, other than like a brief snippet, has never been released other than to like the family, and they're not fucking sharing it because apparently it's just that bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to listen to it.
But no, it wasn't that. It was a solo camper. Although that was also another one that made me just like put everything down, take a fucking walk outside, appreciate the birds and everything, and just reflect on how haunted I fucking felt. Yeah, no, dude, it's...
You know what it is? I think it triggers a very primal... Like, killing each other is scary, but it's like, oh, I've seen that all day in the movies. I don't care. The primal fear of being eaten by something is totally... We don't even know how to approach it because we don't think about it much. It's not even in our movies. How often is it? I mean, yeah, you see people get eaten in a movie like by Jaws or something that's bad, but it's usually like a quick chomp chomp or it's something like that.
Not the slow. It's the slow that makes it awful.
Yeah, and you know, the slow being eaten slow, right? And it's being eaten by something you got no, like, again, a shark chomp chomp, you just feel like it's like it's meant to be. But a thing like a bear or like wolves pulling you apart or something, like for some reason wolves pulling me apart doesn't bug me as much, because I feel like I would stand a chance against one, or like I'd give as good as I get, like I think, unless I was already halfway dead when they got to me. I feel like I'd at least kick them in the throat once and I'd go down fighting. A bear, it's like, it's just an illusion that you have a chance. It's like that meme where it's like how to fight a bear, and like the last panel is you're dead the whole time or whatever it is. Like, you know, again, I'm not saying I'd win against a pack of wolves. I'm saying I at least hope that with my knife in my hand, I could make at least one of them not go back to the den with me in its stomach.
Yeah,
but a bear,
you're still gonna lose, but one of them is gonna be, a couple of them are gonna be walking around with gnarly ass scars.
Yeah, but a bear is just gonna be like, and
yeah, just fucking. It's like you could fucking scratch it. You can just make it more pissed. You have to endure this, because no matter how awful a thing that you can imagine, if it's over within like 10 seconds, then, you know, no matter how bad it is, it's 10 seconds and you can endure, you know, on some level. But to imagine like, okay, so this is going to be fucking awful and it's going to be fucking painful and it's going to last
maybe an hour
just under 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, fuck that. I have to experience this prolonged and know what's going to happen and live in that mindset of this is a limited amount of time that I have left and this is how I get to spend it. And let's look at all the things I didn't do and all of that. Like, oh, yeah, that's fucking awful.
And, you know, part of it, what gets to my brain is thinking about how that bear's enjoying how I taste and eating me. And it's just like, and you're just sitting there like, this motherfucker's enjoying this. You know? Like, that pisses the ego off of me, man. It's not cool.
I wonder if, oh man, this might be, I'm sorry, this might be incredibly dark for some people, but there's that whole thing where when you're, we might have actually talked about this on the show, when you're abused at a young age, especially in your memories, sometimes you see the memory from the point of the person that had power. I wonder if you go into a weird Stockholm syndrome aspect in the situation like that, where you start seeing everything from the perspective of the bear. Just like, oh yeah, I am fucking delicious. It's a good thing I did all those push-ups a while back, because
like,
that really
eat the back of my thigh. That probably tastes awesome. That's where the big thick muscles are and everything. It's probably all meaty and juicy, and I got fat on my ass. That probably tastes great. Oh man.
Just like, oh, you're so majestic and wild. Just, I'm so lucky to be a part of you as you carry on this great ecosystem that we call Earth.
That's just a way to become a bear. Just get eaten by one. Yeah. No, it's also like in Dishonored when they would show, and it's funny because I knew this growing up, but I forgot it, and Dishonored reminded me of it, that when they would kill whales, they're not even dead Like they would haul them up on the boat and just start opening them up, cutting pieces off, throwing them
Oh,
in
yeah.
the boilers, you know, it could take days to die. Days for a whale to die on a boat. Like, dude, I don't even think whaling's okay, but if I did, I mean, let's say you live on the Faroe Islands and that's all you got. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to judge that's your way of life if that's what your way of life is. But, you know, let's say you live in a society that don't need to do that. Okay, at least fucking kill it all the way before you start carving it up. Like, can we at least...
Like, that's a different level of barbaric. Like, if you're going to kill me and eat me, like, okay, fine. Like, if you were able to fucking catch me and whatever, like, okay, you won. But, like, fucking just put me out of my misery first. Why do I got to experience it, dude?
Maybe it's because I come from just an ethical hunting background where it's like, I want to make sure that thing's dead before I fucking, you know what I mean? I want to make sure it's damn dead. So.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I got my fucking hunting license. And then I was like, oh, I should probably learn how to field dress. And I watched a couple videos and immediately went like, wow, I'm never going to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do this. But yeah, I was the same way, fucking ethical mindset of like, it's a little pain as possible.
I think anyone who eats meat has to hunt at least once. Even someone who doesn't eat meat, I think that you should, because hunting and just eating meat, I think, are separate. And I'll tell you why. I think that if you're the type of person that goes to the store and buys a steak and eats that shit, you're so many steps removed from what you're doing that I see a chicken in the store, it doesn't even occur to me that that was a living thing most of the time. It's just food. It's just meat. It's just, it's like having a piece of, you know, a Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
But then when I go to my friend's house and they've got actual chickens that they raise, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to eat one later. I'm like, how can you do that? They're so cute. And they're like, well, you eat one all the time, don't you? I'm like, fuck. Yeah, got me on that one. So going hunting, I think even if you're a hardcore vegan type, honestly, I know it may sound weird. I think going out and hunting once in your life, even if it's just for like a rabbit or something that's, you know, you don't have to go kill a big old deer or water buffalo or anything like that. Just take a life and put it in your mouth and swallow it once in your life.
And you know what? There are certain, like, I was more of this mindset too when I was in my like very rigid vegan stage. There are vegans, and I use that term obviously lightly, that would agree with you, where it's more about how animals are treated and the way that we fucking not institutionalized, but all of the things built up around that, where you need to have the personal experience, where if you're okay with that, and that's ethically obviously totally fine, but it's just it's the removal and the unconscious nature of it, of, you know, a fucking a bucket from KFC, that's not an animal, that's not anything like that, but that chicken, that's friend. Like, these are incongruent thoughts, and it's trying to bring those together and realize what you're doing. And even if you still choose to do it, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, just knowing what you're doing, being aware.
And as a meat eater, I'm not a fan of the factory farms where they just don't, where it's just a piece of meat to these people. And I'm not okay with that. If it was up to me, we'd all be living on our own farmsteads and having to deal with it ourselves, to be brutally honest with you. I know that's maybe backwards to some people, but you know, I know that if it was, I think that my preference would be to be more pescatarian and just occasionally eating other stuff, simply because I don't relate as much to fish. Although I'm not going to lie, there are fish that are quite intelligent, and you will develop a relationship. I'm not kidding. There are fish that you can buy that they recognize you, and they're like little dogs. They'll come swim to your side of the tank when they see you coming, and they'll literally want to look at you, and not just for food. They literally will respond to your fingers and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's you know, some fish are very intelligent. But anyway, I think also now, as a keto fanatic, being more vegan wouldn't bother me as much, because I've learned to not just like, you know, once you don't put breading on meat, I still love it, but there's less of a psychological attachment to it. And I end up liking things like cauliflower and spinach and all that stuff and eggs too. Eggs I don't feel like is you know, I know some hard vegans would say no because you're, or vegetarians, whatever, would say no because you're abusing chickens to get them. But I mean, I think
Dude,
that's
you're fucking chewing a chicken. Period.
yeah,
Whatever,
dude.
dude.
I don't think that's a big deal. I think that that's literally like, I think that's a symbiotic relationship if you take care of the chickens right. Like, you know what I mean?
No. It's like not to
It's
say
like honey from a bee.
yeah, like factory farming for eggs is fucking atrocious. But like the eggs themselves, you know where I stand on that. It's whatever. Like it shouldn't be a big deal. It's the way that we go about it is fucking awful. That's
not. I think that, you know, if you told me like, okay, all the meat that you eat is going to go up 50% or even 100%, but you can rest assured that that shit is going to be highly ethically sourced from now on. Highly. I mean, like the chicken has a full range to roam on, like my father's little chicken thing he had going on, or you know, I mean, cows, I guess, don't have it, you know, at least the old way when they'd go ranching and they'd be traveling all around, I guess. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that, sorry to cut you off, but that actually made the fucking difference for me when I was like a vegetarian, but like recently got off the vegan thing, is like, I was invited to my partner's house and their mom was like, oh yeah, we've got a turkey. I'm like, well, I'm vegetarian. I don't really want to. They're like, okay, well, if it makes any difference to you, the turkey came from right over there and this was its name and it was loved for this many years. And, you know, they're farmers. This is what they do. Like I could tell you everything about the turkey and I could tell you that it was ethically like put down and everything. I'm like, okay.
The first time I killed something and ate it by myself, I will say that, you know, as a spiritual person, I look in an animal's eyes and I don't see just an animal, even a fish, like even that, like I said, fish is easier, but even a fish. And I look in an animal's eyes and I see I'm very empathic to animals. People suck ass, but animals I'm way more empathic with.
That's why everybody can relate to John Wick.
Yeah. Especially an innocent. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I can defend myself against an animal, no problem. But at the same time, you know, like, so the first time I killed like a rabbit specifically, and I was like, I killed this to eat it. And I walked over and it wasn't quite finished. I used an air rifle on it. It wasn't quite finished. And I was just like, I won't lie and say I didn't have a tear choke up in me at all. And when I finished it off, I felt relieved, but then I felt like I understood now why, I don't know if it was literally a thing or just a pop culture meme, but why the whole, you know, native people would worship it or give it a blessing or thanks or whatever, because I felt the instant need to thank it for living and, you know, respect it and say like, you know, I forget what I said, but I was very moved. And that doesn't happen when I go to the supermarket and buy a chicken. And I feel like that's tragic.
Yeah,
and I think that
fucking detached.
I think that even, you know, I think even if we did that once in a while, this is why I think, and why do I say vegans should do it? Because vegans often don't realize just how many animals have to die for their fucking cantaloupes and their fucking, you know, and their squash and shit.
Oh yeah, not like the fucking the fucking number of bugs that get destroyed just purely on that level. The number of bugs that get destroyed through large farming, so you can have almond milk or whatever. Like everything you touch is going to be tainted. It's like my man Maynard once said, life feeds on life. Like you can't escape it. It's just a matter of what level you choose to indulge upon it. And
my dad put it like this: when one time we turned over a field for his little, you know, 1.5 acre farm he was doing. And he's like, if I left this alone, you'd be amazed at how many rabbits would be living here. If we left this fallow and just let it grow in and do what it wanted to do, you'd be amazed. A dozen rabbits? No. Try 2, 3, 4, 5 dozen rabbits might live in this. Birds, mice, all kinds of shit would be living here. So when you hear someone say, well, I'm killing less animals by eating vegetables, they don't know what they're talking about.
You're
They are
killing
literally-
less directly.
Right. But you are indirectly killing scores more, perhaps, than if you just raised a bunch of rabbits in a hutch and ate them, for example. So, like you said, life feeds on life. It's unavoidable.
Yeah, and I think, I kind of, in a weird way, fucking looping this back around into, a spiritual discussion. I really feel like we've been talking about dietary stuff and everything. I feel like with a lot of people, what really pisses them off about it and why they choose to completely abstain from meat and all of that is the unconsciousness that so many people go about with it, where, if you could just hypothetically imagine a world where you didn't directly do any of your spiritual practices yourself, you went to the store and you saw like, ooh, the Lilith brand has a really great deal on invocations today. I think I will get that. And King Paimon. Ooh, King Paimon, that's a little bit more of a pricey brand, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like spending that on myself today. Let's get let's get a surge of power with a side of, but you never did any of that yourself. It's just that's not what this is about. I don't think you need to have you need to be aware of the entire process and how it relates to you.
Yeah. And Hunter brings up an interesting point. He says, funny thing is, people hear animal sacrifice, they think evil, but is factory farming better? Proper animal sacrifice is raised and loved and cared for. The taboo, when people hear sacrifice, is stupid. And I do have my own personal line in the sand with animal sacrifice. Yes, I will never admit to it being okay publicly, only because of the taboos and people get bent out of shape. And of course, someone will refer back to this video and say, see, he's all whatever. My line in the sand about the animal sacrifice is the nature of the sacrifice. I'm not saying I judge negatively the person who does this, but it is not I don't like it when people simply kill the animal and burn it up. I believe that, that sort of killing it's not taboo. Like, I don't want to make this out to be wrong, because I'm not judging it, because as a Vamchara guy, left-hand guy, sinister guy, like, there's a part of me that says, yeah, but that's still okay.
What you were saying here is reflective upon your own outlook and not upon a universal.
Yeah, exactly. And my personal view is kill the animal, burn a part of it, eat the rest. Okay. So sacrificing to the gods, to the spirits, doesn't have to mean that the whole damn thing, or sacrificing yourself doesn't have to mean the whole thing just burns on the fire. To me, it's wasteful. And for that reason, it's disrespectful to the life. That doesn't mean that
exactly that.
That doesn't mean that it's necessarily, like, to be brutally honest, if you killed me and said, don't worry, I'm going to eat every part of you, that doesn't mean I'd be like, oh, well, at least, no. I think that that's the other irony too, and that's another piece of this that maybe I've got to integrate, is that ask yourself honestly, if I was going to murder you and you had a choice between me throwing you in a wood chipper or eating you, which one would make you feel better? Neither one should make you feel better. Both suck, and you're going to be mad no matter which it is. So honestly, on some level, it is a little weird to get upset either way. If you're killing it, you're killing it. What you do with the body afterwards doesn't really matter, does it? The act of killing it's what's mattering.
And you kind of touched upon something that I'm like you, where I'm never going to come out and say, like, yes, I advocate for, sacrificing animals in a spiritual sense or anything. Like, I'm not going to necessarily demonize it. I'm not going to necessarily advocate for it. It's just, I have a weird feeling with it where it feels more like when I know about it and when I see it happening, I find myself in a reflective state of, I'm upset, but it's more of a kind of shadow working of why am I upset, when I know that I have regularly consumed food that was treated worse than this. I've consumed animals that were, these chickens or whatnot that were sacrificed were given a much better life, and their death was much less painful. By all accounts, this was a better life to live and one that I would choose if I was in that situation, as opposed to the alternative in an industrialized farm. But why am I feeling so visceral about this? I hate this, but yeah, I feel like you know what I'm pointing at.
I do, and I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I look the other way and I eat the meat anyway, but it's you know, that level of torment and pain, if you understand energy, even if you're not superstitious, because I'm not, it's undeniable that the torment and pain that we put the animals through translates into not only how it tastes, because that is quite true. It is well known that if you kill and butcher an animal under distress, it tastes different than if it's just happy and walking around.
Kobe beef, baby.
Yeah, I mean, the more at ease and calm it is when it's killed, trust me, there's a difference. Adrenaline changes the taste of meat.
I bet Kobe was filled with a lot of adrenaline when the helicopter.
Fuck. Anyway, yeah, do the Skeletor running away thing. I'll see you all later.
Be back next week with more disturbing knowledge, folks. So.
Oh, shit.
Weird time to come in, but you know what? I'm thankful for you tonight and every night, Patchwork. I appreciate the super chat. He says,
haven't seen you in a little
"Hey,
while,
brothers,
brother.
sorry I'm late." Dude, you never have to be sorry. All of you, you don't have to be sorry about, I
Except for
didn't show
CM
up.
Heldekainen, he has to be sorry, but everybody else.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just thankful you guys are here, and I would be fucking chewing it up with this motherfucker one way or the other. Just you guys being here is a bonus. Don't ever feel obligated. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I look at my dog and I, you know, especially this dog. This dog has been, you know, I've always been an animal person, but this dog, this is like my dog. Everybody else was like my mom's dog, my dad's dog. This was my wife and my dog. This is my first family dog. And, you know, then my own bird, and then my own snake. And a snake, if you can feel empathy with a snake, you're going places, because snakes are pretty much just like, you know, but I can actually read my snake's feelings now. You know, we like to think snakes don't have emotions because they don't show them, but I'm convinced they have emotions. They have the full spectrum. I don't know about love, like as we would understand it. I don't know if my dog loves the way we do, but they definitely feel things. They definitely feel fear. They definitely feel contentment and happiness and inquisitiveness and all of those things. And I can tell those moods on my snake. Like, and you would think that you can't, but you can. They do have a body language. It's just different. And I don't even look at snakes like they're fucking, you know, even insects. Like if you look at a praying mantis, for example, praying mantises, they really seem smart the way they look at you. They really seem self-aware and aware of other things. And like praying mantises are fucking like mystical little bugs. I love those damn things. So, you know, on some level, that's why non-dualists are so big on compassion. Now, as a left-hand non-dualist, my sense of compassion's a little different, admittedly, but it's still very strong. But my version of compassion, I would even say it's left-hand. It's just more of that Alan Watts style of like, you know, kindly let me help you or you will drown, said the monkey to the fish as he carried him safely up a tree. My version of compassion is to leave you alone, not to try to help you, right? My version of compassion is not to save you, but to hope that you have the fullest possible experience, even if that means doom. That's why I'm not big on moralistic things. That's why I'm not big on that stuff. I am big on golden rule stuff. I'm big on people treating each other as they would want to be treated, but I don't feel like it's my job to save the world or to be a good guy or to save you or to, like, you know, not eat meat because it's wrong. I don't see things as right and wrong. I see it as, what is the actual flow that's going on here, and how do I conform so that I'm with that without like alienating anything?
You're more the type of person where, you know, let's put this, if I did something really truly heinous or whatever, and you know absolutely, as far as all of our ethics go, that what I did was absolutely wrong, you wouldn't try to spare me from the fire.
Yeah.
You would absolutely let me burn. But you would maybe say, hey, imagine it from his perspective of like, he deserves to burn, but he doesn't deserve to burn as much as you might think he does. Like,
yeah, I mean, you know, You call it that you're repenting at the moment before death type of thing. I mean, there's a reason I don't like to judge, right? And I'm not saying I never judge, but I treat it more like rabid dog. You know, it's like triage. It's like you can't save some things or some people. Some things are beyond saving. Some things are just a menace, and I have to, you know, look out for me and mine before I sit there and go, well, everything has a right to live. Not if it's killing other people. It doesn't. Not if it's, you know, and that's, yes, it's a human perspective. In the grand scheme, it doesn't matter if I'm an axe murderer or not, but in the human perspective, it does. And as a human being, I don't want that. And that's why I did that video about the compassion of compassion of a stone or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That short video where I'm like, the people who refuse
Dude,
to swat
fucking love that one.
Yeah, I hope so. The people who refuse to swat a fly because they are so compassionate, they're really just egoistic assholes that aren't looking beyond the 12 steps of what reality is. If you don't swat that fly, then that fly goes on to reproduce, and and that fly might be a weak fly. It's better to challenge that fly with what it's designed to be challenged by, which is dodging swatting. And you make sure it's a better fly in that way. So I'd rather play that role and in that way satisfy my own animalistic urge to destroy the fly, which means I'm better at swatting flies, which means I'm less likely to die of fly-borne illness. That, you know, so it all rolls into itself. And so this is why as a compassionate person, I'm still okay with meat eating, and why I'm okay with, you know, I don't give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And when you got a rabid dog in the community that's trying to hurt everybody, I'm fine with them getting taken down by whatever gets taken down. So it's, you know, but it doesn't mean I'm not compassionate. It just means that my compassion isn't all of one or all of another. It's situational and nuanced. And usually it's hands off. Usually it's not my problem. Like, if, you know, EA and I are friends. If it turns out EA's a jerk or did something bad, I'll have to weigh it against what I know about him. If he's a really good person otherwise, but he did something stupid in the past, hey, he did something stupid in the past. It doesn't mean that's who he is now. But if he's doing something that's really bad and I don't like it, then I'm going to talk about it. Same thing about you. Same thing about my wife. Same thing about anybody. You know, if you make a mistake in the past, who are you now, though? Who are you today? Who are you right now? That's what I want to know.
It's like fucking the person that did that, they don't exist anymore. They died like 20 times over. It is a completely different person now.
Yeah. You know, and that doesn't mean that, you know, it's a big can of worms because, again, I'm not into morality. I'm really not. You know, I don't look at someone and be like, you know, oh, maybe they sold drugs in the past, or maybe they did worse things. Who the hell knows? Oh, I have to judge them forever because of it. Or, look, there are people who are dyed-in-the-wool racist every day of their life, and then one day they realize they're wrong. And they realize why they're wrong. And then they change. And there's people who won't let them change.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that redemption is a real thing.
Yeah.
Redemption, though, is a personal thing. It's not a social thing. You know, in the Bible, when you're talking about forgiveness, instead of seeking forgiveness from an external God, seek forgiveness from your own internal sense of self-divinity.
Oh, no, that's way harder. I don't like that.
Well, that's why it's done externally in the Christian religion, because it's so hard to do for yourself. It's so much easier to go to a priest and be like, I want forgiveness for my sins. Well, God will give it to you, my son. Just say 50 Hail Marys. So much easier than looking in the mirror and saying, yeah, I did that fucked up shit, but I'm not a bad person anyway. That person's dead now.
Oh, man, that takes work. Why do I got to do that? That takes shadow work and fucking personal development. And can't I just spend 15 minutes saying the thing?
Yeah. I mean, as someone who, when I was younger, was more bigoted about certain things and over time developed into someone who respects and loves those things, if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And
I used to gay
bad.
bash. I used to gay bash, and now I fuck dudes.
Well, I mean, you can still be one of them self-hating gays, can't you?
Well, yeah, but that's because that's my kink.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah. So like half the people on Twitter who hate being white, I'm just going to stop it right there. I'm just going to leave it. So anyway, where's Susan Wojcicki when I don't need her? You know, anyway, the point is, guys, be excellent to each other. It's really that simple. Doesn't, you know, we're all human beings.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you're up, down, left, right, gay, straight, black, white. You're all deserving of your own divine self-respect. And that's where I fall on this whole thing. Most of the time. Depends on how edgy I'm feeling that day, but most of the time.
Yeah. Sometimes we all get a little bit lost. Sometimes we all get distracted in the woods and get a little off trail. But, you know, ultimately, if you hold yourself to that do unto others philosophy, a lot of good can be done.
I think my white comment just hit. I'm getting oohs and bras. Dude, it's a joke. Relax. Hopefully you guys are laughing at it, not taking it too hard like a dick, I swear. I'm just being a mirror, guys. That's all I'm doing. I'm not judging, just showing.
The hatred you feel is more a reflection of yourself than us.
Yes, most of the time. Yeah, it's telling me more about you than me.
I don't know how much longer you want to go on, but I'm starting to feel a little bit.
I'm losing. I'm starting to say shit I'm gonna have to trim off this video at this point. Yeah, no, I'm getting tired. It's things are said in good fun, right? And we can all tell the difference. Like you said before, is it something that's said to be hurtful, or is it something that's said as a joke or just out of whatever? And I've been on both sides of that, and I don't like it. I really don't. That's why when you say I have the F word pass, I don't use it. That's why if I had a black friend give me the N word pass, I wouldn't use it. I feel like it's a matter of my own pride.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I wouldn't give anybody the fat word pass when I was fat. Only I can call myself fat. You can't. You know. And
yeah.
It's just a matter of pride. It's like I won't say it, not because the word has power over me or over you. It's because I don't even think the word should even be there like that way. Like, you know what I'm going to say the F word is when I'm dealing with a bundle of sticks. Then I'll call it a faggot, but I won't call you that because that's its proper use. It's an improper use to use it the other way. And so I won't use it that way. And I think that's why I do it that way. It's not because the word bothers me. Listen, you've probably heard me say it in a game, screaming, "Oh, that's gay," right? And it's a totally different meaning of the word when I use it that way. It's because to my mind, when I say that, it's just wrong, it's broken, it's fucked up, it's weird, it's whatever.
Hey, I came from that too. I get it.
You know, so I don't say it because gayness is wrong. it's just the word that was so gay. That was just the gayest goddamn kill you've ever. You killed me with the BFG. That was so gay. You picked that up and just like you're always going for the power up, you motherfucker.
It is wow. That actually speaks a lot about you. Not only with the BFG reference and all of that, but also I do find it. You know, I'm not trying to dig into this much, but I do find it interesting that you won't say the one word, but that's so gay is different.
Wait, which word? Which?
Faggot.
Oh, no, I don't want to say that word unless we're talking about sticks. No.
Yeah, you won't refer to a bundle of sticks unless it's a bundle of sticks. But the BFG getter, that's really gay. I'm poking buttons.
Isn't a bundle of sticks the fascist symbol? I don't think so. I think a bundle of sticks just represents unity no matter what it is. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you know, we live in interesting times where there are people who they utilize those situations as a way to hurt other people. It's not because they actually care. It really isn't because they care about those things. It's because it's a way to hurt others. And what I mean by that is people who use the F word to hurt are no better and no worse than those people who automatically get offended by every use of those words as a way to lord it over others, like I'm a victim and you have to suddenly kiss my ass for it. To me, they're both wrong. So as I'm talking about the woke side versus the racist side, or the woke side versus the bigot side. The ones who say, the ones who get offended at every use of the term in or out of context and use that as a way to, so someone would attack me and be like, Thorne is obviously a bigot because the way he's talking about gay in a video game. That is no better than the person who says gay with malice in a bigoted way. I think they're equal in my mind because they're both using it the same way. They're both using it as a way to hurt others.
To maybe put what you said a little bit of a different way, I would say that I think there's a big distinction, and it's very obvious if you pay attention to the people who are more obsessed with vengeance than they are with justice.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I like that. That's not to say there can't be a little bit of vengeance in the justice, but the vengeance should be targeted directly, not indirectly. When you blame a whole group of people for the actions of a few, that's not justice, ever. That's never justice. It's vengeance, and that's the wrong kind of vengeance. And that's vengeance against innocent people that did no wrong. That's literally a suicide bomber blowing up people at a supermarket because their government is doing something they don't like. It's literally just wrong, period. And that is from an ethical position, not a moralistically, it don't matter, but from an ethical position, it does. That's just not how I would live my life. I refuse to blame a group for the actions of a few. It's that simple. How your fly swatting game? I don't know. That was my I used to be better. I used to be really good at swatting flies. Now I'm just like, eh.
I think was referring to your the Compassion of a Stone video. So they mentioned the praying mantis thing.
Praying mantis do perform cannibalism. Yes, they do. All right, let's give this a wrap. We've only got 30 people here. You guys are the diehards. I don't know if you guys know, but we've had some new mirrors up on Etsy for a little while. So if you're looking for something for Black Friday to give to yourself or others that like those kinds of things, the Etsy store is where you want to go. The link is in the description. I will, of course, put that up in a moment. But I'm really pushing that right now because it's really where the bread and butter is for my wife. That's how she buys me Christmas presents, is what we sell on Etsy. So you can support me by buying something from her on Etsy. Let me find that. While Fleshy's showing off one of them. See, that one's cool because it's got all the colors on it. And I feel like the colored ones didn't actually sell as well. Don't look at me like that.
I feel like most people think they're a little gay, but that's also kind of why I saw it and I was like, that's a little gay. I should get it. And then I found out apparently the intention was for the different colors of chakras.
Yep.
Like, huh, I didn't even see that. I just saw some gay shit. Okay.
So some are more decorative than others. Some are more plain. I think the plain ones are maybe a little bit easier for scrying because they're less distracting. You know, more for gazing and stuff. But the decorative ones are pretty powerful too. I've used one with eyes on it quite a bunch of times, and it worked very well. I still kind of prefer my antique mirror just because of the mystique of an antique mirror. But these are pretty good. I really do enjoy them. And we do have one big glorious one in the bedroom that is just, oh, you guys have seen it on some of the live streams. It's really nice. So if you want to support me a little bit, you can do that, or you can go to the links in the description. You can buy any one of my books. They don't sell like they used to, so I'm not living off them like I used to. Now it's just a little extra spending money. But if you haven't purchased one of my books, that's one way you can do it. They come on both the e-format and, of course, the printed format. And at some point, I'll be releasing new books again in the future. I'm kind of sort of like distracted because a big part of me wants to write fiction now, and a big part of me wants to write another book on magical stuff. But I feel like, you know, I want to distinguish it from what I've written already. And some of it's like a reboot of some of the stuff that I've written already. So I'm kind of waiting a little bit. I don't know whether I'm going to do fiction first or what. Maybe there's also a part of me that wants to do a free work that is like an initiatory work for people that you know, like the initiation is free and available and you can do it for yourself. And then if you want to be validated by me or someone else that's gone through it, there might be a fee involved, but that would be like, you don't need it. It's literally just if you want the ego shine of being told that you've completed it by someone who knows. That would be there for you, but you could do it all by yourself and enjoy it. So I don't know. I'm going to think it through, and I don't know when it's going to happen. If you saw my writing folder, I have, like, if I ever die and my wife wants to make like a quick buck, she could just take all my manuscripts and just give them to someone to finish writing, basically, to just kind of like put put them together in a readable way and would probably make a little bit more money off it. So I have like hundreds of thousands of words that haven't been compiled into finished books because they're all over the place. Like, it's just thoughts on everything. So one of these days I will put together another book, and hopefully you guys will find it interesting. I feel like my writing skills are improving all the time too. My grammar and punctuation and all that's always improving, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we're here at the end, and for the
This is the end, my dearest friend.
The end. I'm just gonna say I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for you and your voice, your sane voice, even when it's a little insane sometimes. For you sticking to yourself in this crazy community that we're in.
And just so you guys know, some of the ones that you guys are seeing are mostly the big ones. So I don't know. Some of those have a lot of resin on them too. Like somebody was saying like 180. The smaller ones were in the 120 range. This is one of the bigger ones. This is 14.5 inches. So that's actually really pretty big. So just so you guys know, that's not a small mirror. It's not a full size wall mirror. Like we have some that are much bigger. I don't know if she's got any of the really big ones left. Let me see. What has she got? I think the big ones are like 250. I think that's a 12 inch. Is that a 12 inch Fleshy?
Oh no, hold on. That's a 14 incher.
What about on the side? I don't know if she does it by the side or by the...
I don't know.
She says across.
How the fuck am I supposed... What fucking across are we talking about?
Well, go on one of the sides. How long is one of the sides?
Oh, I see what you're
saying. Just curious. I don't remember how she's measuring them.
Well, if I go by that, it's 16 inches.
Okay.
So you got a 6 foot
she
one
must be,
motherfucker
she must
here
be,
for scale.
Yeah, she must be going from point to center. She must be going across, not on the edges. So that's one of the bigger ones, like the size that Fleshy has. Then there's some that are a little smaller. So, but a lot of that has to do with what's on them, because resin is not free. Resin is actually the most expensive part. And if she's got one that's the mini Crow Witch, and that's like just wood. The resin ones are really a lot more. So,
Wyatt Coverdale says he's got a 14 incher too.
He's got a 14 incher. Nice. I know he's young, so I don't want to comment.
Yeah, I'm just putting that out there. Yeah, I'm you know what? All of you find something to be thankful for tonight.
Mm-hmm. You got it.
So, all you bastards, bitches, and non-binary witches, mind the motherfucking shadows.
Yep. Never take yourself more seriously than your enemies do. Good night, everybody.
Hug a pescatarian.
Or go fishing with one.